Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. I'm going to talk about Iran and what's going on with Iran. And, I'm watching the news coverage and the tone that people have had since this operation began in Iran and the reactions online. People are dealing with this in the wrong way. Number one, now I may be off by a few short days, all right? But do you know that the United States military air campaign, this latest operation that President Trump ordered on Iran, there's only been like 41, 42 days of actual combat? Less than 50 days of a 4 or 5 month event. There's been less than 50 days of actual combat. Most of it's been wait and see and negotiations and everything else. And, but I want to talk a little bit about what's going on. And full disclosure, I think President Trump should obliterate Iran. I think every bridge should be blown. Every power plant should be blown. Every water treatment plant should be blown. Every utility should be blown. Every cell phone tower blown up, whatever data centers and internet that they have over there should be totally destroyed. And of course, the entire government, President Trump says we're on the third tier of government. The entire government should be wiped out. Their entire military should be wiped out. There should be nothing left. That's just it. And I've been watching online some of the devastation from this latest wave. We've had, 8 days, 8 nights of attacks. And it's pretty devastating. I mean, the explosions that I've seen are just huge. I mean, just massive. But I want to give a little context because I don't see much context. We've been dealing with Iran since 1979. President Trump is the first president of the United States to stand up to Iran. And while it is incredibly sad that we've lost 2, maybe 3 U.S. service personnel in Jordan, right? The one is still missing, okay? Hopefully they turn up. But if you think about it, the response of Iran has been pretty minimal compared to what you would have imagined, isn't it? Iran has had a global terror network in place for decades. Almost 100% of the Islamic terrorism around the world has been done by Iran, financing, training, and organizing and overseeing it. All of the, these endless conflicts with Israel. Israel has never been the problem with Mideast peace. It's always been Iran, and all of these groups, Hezbollah, whatever group you want to point that's been harassing Israel, that Israel's been fighting with over the years, PLO back in the days of Arafat, they've all been front groups for Iran. So Iran has had this global Islamic terror network filled with homicide bombers and just where have they been during these months? So President Trump, whatever he's done with Iran, there's been a major success in taking out their global terror network. Because if they could, and believe me, they'd love to, these lunatics in Iran would be waging Islamic terror all over the world, and they have it. Remember, like we used to have in the 80s with Libya and everything before we bombed Libya, and that's just not happening, which shows a tremendous blow to them. Now, these latest rocket attacks that they've had, where they hit Jordan and killed 2 of our guys, and there's the 3rd missing. There's a lot of talk that, well, where'd they get these rockets? Well, we don't really know, do we? People immediately want to always go to Russia. Russia's always the villain, and that they've been resupplied from Russia. Maybe But probably, we don't know, but there's also probably or a very good chance that a lot of what we're seeing here with these latest rockets are things that they've had left over. You know, when we blew the daylights out of the place and we've had these huge ceasefire periods, they've been regrouping. So they've been putting together whatever didn't get blown up and organizing it, and maybe even repairing some things and putting some new things together from what's left of what was blown up. Or maybe they've had some storehouses underground that didn't get hit. Who knows? But I do know this, that the Iranian response to everything has been so minimal. And the loss of American life, while every life is a terrible loss, right? It's been rather much more minimal than anyone would have ever projected with Iran. And Iran really has been a paper tiger all these years. The reason that people like President Reagan and Bush 1 and 2 and all the rest didn't go after Iran is because they were afraid of Iran, that they were this big superpower. And I remember they were promoting over the years that they were a superpower. They were described as a superpower. Remember, George W. Bush had that axis of evil that they were a part of. They're not a superpower. They've never been a superpower. They've just got a good PR machine over there. So I think that the lack of response that they've had, the response that they've had has been aimless and minimal compared to what you would have thought Iran would have had. So we've kicked the daylights out of them. I mean, there's no question, but it's not enough because, you know, what we have here is a religion. You know, and these countries in the Middle East, another problem with the Middle East is all cool with us except Iran. You know, and you look at some of these countries that are now friends and even allies of ours. It's crazy when you think about it, right? Syria, all right? We're friends with Syria, Iraq. How did all this happen? I really can't tell you. You know, but I don't think anyone can. Well, Trump. But it is really amazing when you think about it, right? That Iraq and Syria are with us now. What the heck? How's that possible? These were like blood enemies, and they're friends with us now. But in Iran, you know, these other countries have had dictatorships, right? Syria had, you know, they had dictators for a long time. Iraq with the dictators, and Iran is an Islamic theocracy, you know, and that makes it a little different. And if you look in the past, you know, people like to point to the Second World War. None of these things are like the Second World War. Germany and Japan. In Germany, they had a dictator, and we bombed the living daylights out of them. And we bombed civilians day and night. We had daytime and nighttime bombings. We did fire bombings with civilian targets in Germany and just totally blasted them. And then you had the Russians on the other side coming in. You know, I mean, the country was just devastated, and we were targeting civilians. Japan, which was, I don't even know how to describe Japan in the Second World War, because you had a mix between a theocracy of sorts, because the emperor was kind of a deity, but you also had this military style government where, you know, it's often portrayed that the emperor was a figurehead to the military government. It's hard to, it's hard. But if you look at Japan, we were also bombing civilians. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those were civilian targets, if you think about it. And we were bombing civilian targets there too. And in this day and age, that's just not what we do. So Germany and Japan were just bombed to, especially Germany, to just complete oblivion. And they were broken. You know, if you, I know this is a movie, but it gives you some context. Have any of you seen Godzilla Minus Zero. It's a very good movie. I like Godzilla, the Godzilla, original Godzilla. I like Godzilla. And but if it shows what Japan was like after the war from the Japanese perspective, right? And so we had totally devastated the civilian populations of Germany and Japan, and that was it. And that's how we were able to get them under control. Iran, we haven't hit any civilian targets, and we're not going to. Okay, we're hitting government targets, military targets, and it's a war that's being fought in a different way. And I know there's talk in the media of ground troops, maybe, I don't know, but to me it looks like President Trump wants Middle Eastern countries to come in, as opposed to using U.S. forces, having a coalition of Arab countries come into Iran. The Islamic world, they're not all theocracies like Iran, right? But the other countries of the world, and the Middle East, I should say, the other countries of the Middle East, what President Trump did to get them all in line, I think was pretty simple. That if you think about it, the Gaza war was pretty bad. That was started by Iran, right? Iran triggered all that. And what Trump represents is great wealth and financial success, right? He's like Mr. Monopoly. That's why the Celebrity Apprentice and The Apprentice were created. The Apprentice was created as a television show because when you thought of capitalism and making money and everything, you thought of Donald Trump. And they built a show around him and about what his rep was. And these countries, these Muslim countries in the Middle East, other than Iran, want to have peace and financial success. And they all hate Iran. And they understand that the reason there's been problems in the Middle East all these years, where they've not been able to settle and enjoy their wealth and have prosperous countries, is because of Iran. And they all want Iran gone. That's it. So, and President Trump understands money is what makes the world go round. Now, I know you Democrats, socialist commies out there think money is dirty, and that's because you don't have any of it, right? If you moved out of your mom and dad's house and started, being grown-ups, you'd understand, right? But President Trump, he understands how to talk to these people, and it's with money. Iran's different because they are religious fanatics, and they're just going to have to be completely obliterated. And what President Trump does next, I don't know, but there's no negotiating. They're crazy, and they're not only are they crazy, the negotiations are just a play. Now, there's another thing too that I'm not quite sure of. I don't know if the Iranian people are on our side or not. I know a lot of people, they like to say the Iranians are on our side, and they point to how many dissidents have been killed. I don't know. There's a lot of Iranians. And I don't know how many of them are on our side, and I don't know if we should buy that. Well, anyway, I'm going to take some calls, and if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How many dissidents have been killed?
You're on the air.
I'm Ashley from Georgia.
Ashley in Georgia. What's on your mind, Ashley?
I don't have a lot to say. I just have to say that I support Trump. I watch you, and I don't ever call in, but I think Trump is doing what's necessary, and you can't give people uranium that say death to America.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and then you cannot let people in our country who say death to America.
Well, Obama liked to do that. Obama, he liked to bring in lots of people, millions of people that were saying death to America. That was kind of Obama's thing.
Right. So, I mean, we cannot stand, unfortunately, that's just where we're at.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's either kill or be killed. And I mean, that's not what we
Well,
want. We
the
don't want
Iranians,
war. We love people.
on top of everything the Iranians have been doing over the years, they have been trying to assassinate President Trump since his first term because he killed the Iranian General Soleimani, the terror leader. And a big part,
Right.
a big part of what Trump's doing here is because the Iranians are going to be after him and his family for eternity unless they're taken out.
Well, when someone chants death to America, I take that personal. So I don't want them in my country. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is.
Well, I don't know. There's that's
so
like that's like half
I mean,
of the that's like
and
half
so
the.
I don't understand why people are like, oh, well, we should
Yeah.
not do this. We should, that's just where we're at.
Well, that's like half of the Democrat Party chant that stuff, right? These Democrat socialists, that's their whole thing,
Right.
Antifa. Hey, listen, welcome, and call again sometime, all right? You take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, hey,
Happy
Richard.
weekend to you.
Yes.
Yeah, this whole thing is one hell of a mess. You know what it reminds me? It reminds me of somebody held up in a bank, robbing a bank, and he's got hostages, and we have to go in there with SWAT and surgically beg this guy to come out and not hurt anybody.
Yeah.
The population of Iran is being held hostage basically by these Nazis who are sprinkled into the population. So the only way to defeat this is not See, we had in World War II, we had Russia help us go into Germany, and we had actually went down the streets of Berlin, and that's how we beat.
Well, one of the most, like the firebombing of Dresden and all of that. I mean, we devastated the civilians and broke the will of the Germans. I mean, we were targeting civilians the last year, hardcore with bombings, day and night. Oh, hold on, Richie, while I'm answering all these calls that are coming in. You're right, but so you think what we're seeing this current round of strikes, you view that as surgical? Because these explosions I'm seeing on X are massive. And they're in and around the cities because the videos we're seeing are from civilians.
I got that, but we're still being very cautious about where we throw these things, and you don't want to turn the population against you because the population. I'm going to say this to you. You might not agree, and I'm going to say that our first, we have enemies within our country, the Democratic Party.
Damn straight.
If you watch these talk shows on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, Meet the Press, and they're stepping out, you're going to see anti-Trump, a big mistake, a war of choice, all this garbage that we're getting from within our country. They have taken our population and they've taken the patriotism out of our population. They're going to say we should never have been there to start with. This was a bunch of baloney and Trump's a liar. We're going to go through all of this crap. And I don't know. I think that it's the message from the Trump administration that we want to negotiate with these people has been the most disgusting, biggest mistake that they could have made. When he stopped for that time that he stopped because of the pressure, he saw the gas prices going up. And the Democrats here screaming, look at the gas, he's no good, He's up against it, man. And I believe Israel was right from the very beginning.
With Iran, okay, like you're saying we're doing surgical strikes, so, there's a couple things there's a couple things, let me add this in. There's a couple things with Iran that make things a little different than, say, Germany in World War II. Number one, the people of the United States and the world would not accept us bombing civilians in the cities, right? Because that would be all over the internet.
I got that.
That's number one. And number two, and that's a big thing. And number two, because of the oil, it's a part of the economy. Germany and Japan were not a part of the world economy, except maybe for the munitions. You understand what I mean? So so you got the impact of the economy of the. See, I think we should blow up every oil well, refinery, and anything, and just eliminate them from the oil business totally too. It should just be totally wiped out.
Get down to the. I agree, but I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty.
One second, Richie. The phones are just ringing off the hook. All right, get to the nitty gritty.
Without regime change, to sit there to fight, the message is still bad right now with the Trump administration. that we're going to bring them to their knees and they're going to come to the negotiating table. What negotiating table? They have to surrender. There has to be regime change in that country.
No, they have to be vaporized. They're never gonna surrender. They have to be vaporized. You have to vaporize their entire government.
No, the population is still with us. If the population turns on them and they have no weapons, they can't fight from within yet. I'm telling you that without regime change, you cannot let these people stay in power.
Yeah.
I don't know what President Trump is going to do. He's in a very bad situation because, like I said, the Democrats, and the population of this country, there's no way unless we put ground troops or have somebody else.
I mean, look, they just had this big political rally yesterday for that guy in Michigan, Abdul. So, I mean, give me a break. When we got guys named Abdul in the United States running for Senate in Michigan, we're in a new world, right?
You got the mayor of New York saying he's going to lock the Prime Minister of Israel up if he comes to the United Nations. I mean, this is a jihadist.
Yeah.
I mean, and he believes in a world court.
So if you were advising Trump, what would you suggest he do?
He's going to lose politically in this country the way it is with the Democrats. At this point, I would say you killed a couple Americans, which really ticks off a lot of American people. It's time that we actually go in there and take you out.
Invade?
Invasion, boots on the ground. Take that, and he has to go to the Oval Office, and he can't talk about how great everything is going and the prices here. You can't talk about that. You got to talk about they're killing Americans.
Yeah.
We can't let this stand. We have to go in there and take them out. Change this regime. He has to get on. The message has to be we have to change the regime, not we have to negotiate. You know what he sounds like when you hear that? How would you, if I told you I'm going to negotiate with Brian because even though Brian has got people out there trying to kill me,
yeah.
and the people would say, are you out of your mind? Brian's trying to kill you. He's trying to stab you in the back. You're going to negotiate with him? You got
no, there's no negotiating with these people. They all need to be, they need to be vaporized.
Eliminated.
Yeah, they got to be, yes.
And you need a regime change. The message is bad.
Well, it seems to me, first of all, I'm not sure that the Iranian people are on our side. I know they've killed all these dissidents and everything, but I just don't know. I mean, the generation over there of people, they have a younger population, have been so brainwashed for 50 years with this crap. I don't know if they're on our side or not. I know they keep telling us that.
Yeah, but how do you negotiate with people that when their people demonstrated, they killed 45,000, 50,000 of them?
Well, that's what I mean. When they've killed that many, are there any dissidents left, or have they killed most of? And another thing where we when you talk about regime change, is there a new government in hiding somewhere that we could plug in there? I don't know. I find it hard. I don't understand. Like I was watching this morning. An Iranian general, I guess he's a Revolutionary Guard guy, in some TV studio somewhere. We can't blow the crap out of that guy in that TV studio? I mean, we have bombs that can blow up anything, no matter how deep underground it is.
You know what the big problem is, too, Brian? And you're going to have to admit this. I mean, the Straits of Hormuz, okay, right now, President Trump says it's open, and they say it's not. But look at how many ships go through there.
Yeah.
And the reason they're hesitating and they can't get the insurance is because it only takes one terrorist. They've got the threat alone from them that they're going to take out ships is enough to close that place.
It's never going to be over as long as they're alive. And what I'm wondering is, this is a religious fanaticism. So I mean, how deep is it? Like if we take out this third tier that's in charge now. How many tiers do we have to go until they're not there anymore?
They've made, not for nothing, the Democratic Party, and this is very important for people to understand, they've made Israel into the boogeyman.
Let me tell you what, I'll tell you what we're missing. I'll tell you what we're missing, Richie, okay? I'll tell you this. And this is on the shoulders of Pete Hegseth and General Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. If you guys remember Stormin' Norman General Schwarzkopf. General Schwarzkopf in the Gulf War had these press conferences, and he would show the bombing. And what we really need is a front man going out there every day like General Schwarzkopf did and showing the bombings and the explosions and what we've taken out daily. It's an interesting thing with President Trump because President Trump's one of his strongest skill sets is PR and media, and there's not really a PR campaign coming from the Pentagon about what we're doing. And that's what we're missing.
Where the PR is coming? Yeah, you know where the PR is coming from? Again, how many Democrats just last week voted against giving Israel any kind of foreign aid? They're trying to make Israel the boogeyman here.
Well, what happened?
Open up their eyes.
See what happened. If you guys remember, those of you that are old enough to remember the Gulf War I, General Schwarzkopf was the four-star general from U.S. Southern Command, which was based out of Tampa, and he was like the General Eisenhower of the coalition in Iraq. And he would come out every day with a press conference, and he would show all the operations of what we blew up and everything else. And I remember one day he came out there, and it was a warehouse, and you would see the cameras from these cameras on the missiles, and he says, "You're going to see the luckiest man in Iraq. Watch this." And you see this warehouse, a truck drives out of it, and then like a second later, the warehouse blows up, and the guy speeds up in the truck. We don't have a PR campaign, so I don't think people in this country, we really know what's happening over there, what we've taken out, how much they used to have. We don't have any perspective, and the footage that we're seeing is not that good.
We have perspective. That's what the point I'm trying to make to you. The perspective is that it's all Israel's fault. It's not the Iranians.
You know what I mean?
The Iranians are not bad
we
people.
need a general or an admiral who every day has a press conference and shows us what we blew up, shows us the video, and like Schwarzkopf, explains it to us, and goes through what the real situation is in Iraq. And we have not seen the real situation in Iran in that form. Like I know, like there's the president will post on Truth a video or something that Dan Schiavo puts together, a little musical tribute with B-1 bombers and some explosions. That's not going to do it. We need, you know what I mean, and it needs. They gotta sell it a little bit better, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Well, we have to sell the fact that, and I'm opening my mouth for Israel because for over 2 years in this country, and we see it in Europe and everywhere else, you see people marching and saying that it's the Jews, all the Jews' fault. You're going to have to wake up and see that the fact is that we've been infiltrated by communist, jihadists, Muslims, whatever you want to call them. Look at Dearborn, Michigan. Open your eyes. Look at New York City. Open your eyes and realize that our colleges and everyone else is saying the Iranians are not the problem. The problem is the Israelis.
That's right.
And until that narrative has been changed in this country, until we decide that we're going to say, hey, look, we are going for regime change, and this is going to take time.
Yeah.
We're not going to go anywhere here because this could go on for years, and the gas is going up. The price is going up as we speak. Yeah. And it's disgusting what they're going to do. They're going to turn on us. They want to turn our population.
Well, now they've killed 2 American service personnel. One's missing, who's probably dead, and now President Trump has a window to just obliterate the country. If it's done, and I hope that he does it. This people are pissed when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah. You've got to take advantage of this. All right, Brian, have a nice weekend.
All right, take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff, what's up?
Listen, I was listening to Securing America a little bit this morning with Frank Gaffney, who I really like. He has some intelligent people, but he has this Rabbi Palicki. I don't know if I pronounce his name. And he's talking about what's going on with Israel and Lebanon and the peace talks in Rome, where I didn't know this, that Israel is saying no Hezbollah. They have to be out of Lebanon. Well, families are split down the middle. Some are in Hezbollah, some are in the Lebanon army, and they won't fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole other issue. But going with that, Iran is.
Hold on, Jeff. My phone. Let me
hold
hold on while I answer all these phones here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Israel is in negotiations trying to get rid of Hezbollah. I believe that's one of the key elements which will hurt Iran. Iran is being hurt by other Muslim
Jeff,
countries.
I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you this. Here's the thing. I'm a strong supporter of Israel, but the anti-Israel forces have been so effective in this country. We need a better PR machine in regards to our operation against Iran. And Israel, even mentioning the name of the country, Israel, is counter to the PR that we need. I hate to say it, but it's true. And people in this country.
Okay, but on the other side,
let me finish.
Oh,
now,
sorry.
I'm not saying that I agree with this. Okay. But in this in the United States, people don't like too many people. They don't like Israel. And they're tired of hearing about Israel. What Americans want is a victory. And, what I was talking with Richie about, and you're old enough to remember General Schwarzkopf during the Gulf War.
Yes.
And you remember when General Schwarzkopf every day he had a press conference, and he would show the videos from the cameras on the bombs. He would show the explosions. He would explain what we took out, what they had, what they have now, what their capabilities were, what their capabilities are now. And we got these daily, very exciting pep rally updates on the war. We don't have that now. And President Trump, if I were advising President Trump, I'd remind him of that. And we need daily briefings like the Schwarzkopf briefings, not music videos on Twitter, explaining, because I don't think you and I who are following this, I don't think any of us in this country have an idea of the devastation that's been done by us to Iran since this began. And the Trump administration, the Pentagon, this war has to be sold to the American people. And if they would show them progress, like as an example, when we sunk their fleet in the beginning, we didn't see a single video of that. Right? A good one, and we should have.
Right.
And that's what is missing. It's almost like, is the war really happening?
At the beginning, Pete Hegseth was doing that, and then he stopped.
Yes.
Remember, he was showing that?
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that point. But just to finish my quick thought, was the Arab nations are now against Iran.
That's right.
Israel is trying to find peace and get rid of Hezbollah. And the U.S. is bombing strategically, wiping out the infrastructure of Iran. But you know who's hurting in all of this the most? Is China. The blockade is on Iranian oil is China suffering, and President Trump just came out and said, we have the evidence. China helped steal the 2020 election, bringing in a million plus ballots, fake ballots, and the ties with the deep state. And all of this is going on. I believe President Trump needs to show the whole big picture and come out. Do you think he withheld some evidence of that Thursday night primetime speech?
Now, what I think has happened, because I was thinking about this, about the speech. I believe, obviously, part of that speech was about pressure on Thune, with the SAVE Act.
Yes.
But I think this is what I think's happening. I think President Trump is planning a big move, like maybe an executive order or something involving the Save America Act. And that speech the other night was kind of like foreshadowing, setting the stage for what plans he has with the Save America Act. I don't think he's concerned about 2020 at all. I think he understands how important the Save America Act is.
That's like a sidebar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about getting the Save America Act passed. Yeah.
And once that's passed and we have election integrity, Democrats are done. But I've heard from inside our government that they don't think that they can get it passed for the midterms, or that will affect the midterms. sorry, I said that
Probably
wrong.
not. But that's okay.
So what do we? But I think he's got something up his sleeve for the midterms. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they just
Something
did.
that's
They
gonna-
just did. He's very popular. The Democrats have nothing. They don't even have an agenda or a platform. We're going to win the midterms.
or a person to run
Yeah, and we've
against him.
yeah, and we did the redistricting, which is in effect. We did away with those racially segregated black districts. That's in effect. And these Democrat socialists, while they're getting a lot of publicity and everything, they're in safe Democrat seats. These Democrat socialists
Right.
aren't in seats that are up for grabs. So so no, we're going to win the midterms. But no, I
really do believe
20
that.
when people go back to 2020, I don't think, I was talking to a caller yesterday. JJ called yesterday towards the end of yesterday's show, and he was very obsessed with 2020, and I get it, but I was explaining to him with the Save America Act, when that's in effect, maybe about 90% of the problems with elections are going to be solved just with that alone, right? Just with that.
Right.
You
Right.
understand what I mean? So these other things we can take care of, but we got to get this thing passed first. By the way, on a side note, I'll just tell you, because you're Jeff from Maine. You're in Maine. My in-laws just spent a few weeks in Maine. They stayed up there for a few weeks. They just got back to Florida the other day, and they were telling it was so beautiful there. They were telling us they love Maine. They said the weather's
Well,
cool
thank you.
and. Yeah, they said there's a lot of
is beautiful.
old rich money up there too in Maine.
But the problem is southern Maine, where 2/3 of the population is, controls most of the state.
And
But
they're liberal
District
lunatics.
2,
Yeah.
it's very conservative and pro-Trump.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's a divided state. It's almost purple.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would change that is get Susan Collins back in, and she's better than any Democrat,
That's for sure.
and find a But I say she sees the writing on the wall, and we need a new, young, conservative Republican to take her seat,
you
because
see,
the Democrats are going to
Jeff,
fight for it.
When the Save America Act is passed, so many of these problems are going to disappear. A lot of these places that are
I
strong
agree.
liberal strongholds aren't going to be there. There's not going to be a liberal stronghold in a lot of these places when the Save America Act's passed. A lot of it, we know how they have these strongholds. They're corrupt. All right, Jeff, I'm going to move on, but I
That's right.
appreciate the call.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, take care. All right. And by the way, welcome to the program. If you are new, welcome and subscribe. And everyone else, please like the video if you don't mind, okay? If you just like the video, that helps me so much. When you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found my channel. So please like the video. And if you'd like to call in and you're watching live, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. All opinions are welcome, okay? Whether you agree or disagree. 888-465-2631.
This was going on in Iran. It's gotten too far, too crazy. And all we doing is we hitting them, they hit us. We hit them, they hit us. And it's just
They're not really hitting us, man. They're not really hitting us.
Yeah, it's fine. Tell that to those parents that will be burying their children in a couple more weeks.
So
That's gonna be
let
coming.
me get this straight. We lose 2 people, one's missing, so we may have probably dead. So say we lost 3. So you want to surrender because we lost 3 people?
Brian, at this point, we're not surrendering. It's no surrender. We owe our heads. Get out of there for more life.
No.
And
You
tell that to those
didn't
parents-
answer my question, Doc. Okay? I'm not here for your bumper stickers. Are you saying that we should surrender in the war because we lost 3 service personnel? Is that what you're saying?
Brian, we should get out of there.
If you don't answer my damn question, I'm going to hang up on you. I heard you say that 4 times.
Brian, we're not surrendering.
If we end the war after losing 3 lives, that's a surrender.
We're not surrendering, Brian.
Sure, we're giving
should
up.
So why are we there?
If you don't know why we're there, you're an idiot.
We there for nuclear that we already saw.
I said already today, damn why. Iran, on top of the fact that we've been at war with them for 50 years, okay? And they've been killing Americans for most of that time, okay? Anytime you see a Wounded Warrior or Tunnel to Towers commercial and you see a veteran who's missing parts of his body, Iran did that, right? Plus, they've been trying to kill President Trump for the last 8 years. Multiple assassination attempts. That's an act of war, right, Doc?
Brian, Americans try to kill Trump. They didn't try to kill Trump.
You're so stupid. You really are.
Man, fuck you. Fuck you.
What's that?
Call me stupid. You heard what I said.
Well, you just proved my point. Now
Well,
we're
you
getting
call me stupid, I call
we're
you
getting to
name.
see the
You
real
call me
Doc.
stupid?
We're getting to see the real Doc.
No, the real Doc, Brian.
Yeah,
You
we're
don't
we're
understand
hearing
what I'm
the
telling
real
you.
Doc now. Nice mouth.
Doc,
Nice
Brian,
language,
you don't
Doc.
understand.
I understand very
You
well.
cuss.
Have you ever heard me say that to a caller? What you just said to me?
You call callers all kind of names, Brian. You call callers all the time. See, what is wrong with you people, you Trump nuts? What is wrong
We're the
with
nuts.
y'all? The minute of
You're
the minute
obviously
somebody
you're
says-
obviously emotionally out of control.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm very calm. this
You
morning.
just said
I'm
F you
getting
to me.
ready.
How many times? 2 times? Maybe 3?
I didn't say it. I said it one time to you.
No, you
One
said
time.
at least. No, you said F you, F you.
One time.
You said
You
it twice.
I said it one time.
One time's too many.
Okay, Brian.
You ever heard me
Okay.
say that to a caller?
Brian, you have said so much to callers. You just ain't never said that to them because you're on the radio. You can't say that on the radio.
No, I don't go around saying F you to people.
Brian, oh, you got you're upset now because somebody said that to you?
No, I just think what we're seeing the real Doc. And what we've seen in the past is not, is your cleaned up persona.
Brian, Brian, the reason I said that to you because I said you're not on the radio. You talk down to people so much. And when somebody say something to you, you cuss. Like
Well,
you never
let me
cussed
tell you
before.
why I said that you're. Listen, we've been talking about this war for 4 or 5 months pretty regularly. You know why we're there. You know all the reasons why we're there. And then you keep asking, why are we there? Why are we there? Like you don't know.
Brian, what I'm saying is
course
we
you
need
know.
to pull back. We're not winning this. All we doing is we hit them, they
We've
hit
won
us.
it
We hit
already.
them.
No, they're not really hitting us.
You don't win wars, Brian. You don't win wars.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
win. Nobody wins a war.
Okay, really?
Nobody wins a war.
Really? As a black
Nobody wins a war.
man in America, you don't believe that the Union Army won the war against the slave-owning Confederates?
Nobody wins wars, Brian. I don't
If
care what it is.
if we didn't win the
Because
Civil
lives
War,
are
blacks would
cooking
still be
on both
enslaved.
sides.
No, hold on.
Brian,
If we
nobody
didn't
wins
win the
war.
Civil War, blacks would still be
All
enslaved.
all they did is surrender because they couldn't go no more. If they could, they would still be fighting.
Well, we won. That's why you're a free man today.
We surrendered. All we did is surrender.
You're calling me from the Confederate state of Texas. If we didn't win that war, you'd be a slave today.
Brian,
You said we don't win
What you don't
wars.
understand is we surrender. And of course, nobody can go no more. And Brian, you just don't understand what I'm telling you.
No, I understand. You
lives,
said
parents,
F you. I understand that well.
And Trump and JD Vance are going to go to I can't call it air base. They're going to go there, put their hands over their heads like they're such big Americans. And Trump ain't no more care about those guys. All Trump care about is this $1 billion he's making. He doesn't care about those
Come
soldiers.
on, give me a break.
He doesn't care about those soldiers.
You're just,
He doesn't
you
care.
were just, see, the reason that when you said F you to me twice, and I said, we're seeing the real Doc now. See, you have Trump derangement syndrome. What Trump derangement
Brian.
syndrome really is hate. You have hatred towards.
I don't hate Trump.
Yeah, you do.
I wish he'd have Right. I
You
wish
hate
Trump
Trump.
have
You
his
hate
wonderful
MAGA.
life.
You hate Republicans.
I don't hate nobody, Brian. Brian, you hate me. I don't hate you.
That's a double negative, which means
You
that you hate
me.
everybody.
I don't hate you. I don't hate
You're the
nobody,
one that
Brian.
said F you to me, but I hate you? Really? You want to rethink
Brian,
that?
That don't mean I hate you. That don't mean I hate you.
What is that?
We can
A
be
term
best
of
friends.
endearment? That means get off
Brian,
the phone,
you
Doc.
are-
I can't. The stupidity is going to give me a stroke. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My
morning, Brian. It's Lenny from Coconut Creek.
Hey, Lenny.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh,
I hope this call's better than your call the other day.
well, you have no idea. Okay, listen, it's not for this conversation. Now, my phone went on the blitz for 2 weeks. I was
Okay, well, you're here now. So what's on your mind today, Lenny?
Okay. I'm listening to, well, you were talking to Doc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who said F you? He said F you, Brian, F you. Yelling at me.
I don't understand why you put up with people like that, but it's all right. You know, he's arguing with you that, you know, the way you carry yourself, and that's unfortunate. That's the problem where the world is today.
Mm-hmm.
But you deal. You know, I'm going to be 73 December. I was a Democrat, and you know, I moved down to Florida, and you know, when Trump was elected, and let's just say, regardless of what's happened in Iran, you know, the understanding is that Iran cannot be allowed to have any nuclear weapons.
Correct.
And people just don't want to understand.
And not only that,
You
their government has been backing when a government and when a country attempts to assassinate a president, as they've done with President Trump multiple times.
but
That's
you're
an
talking
act
not
of war.
once, not twice, not 3 times, not, you know, how many times? And
Many, but at least three. At least 3 confirmed, and that is an act of war.
What about Air Force One?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Last week. Yeah, hold on, Lenny. My phones are ringing off the hook. All right, well, listen, I'm glad you got the phone working, and we'll talk again. Take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Carlos calling from California.
Hey, can you hold back the laughter? What's on your mind, Carlos? You think what you're about to say you think is so funny?
Because you are very funny. You started yelling at the guy, and then when he yelled back at you and cussed you out.
I didn't. Hold on. I didn't cuss him out. I didn't use profanity.
No. You started yelling at him, saying, "If you don't answer me, I'm gonna hang up."
Well, we're having a conversation, and he was ignoring. I asked him a question, multiple questions, and he ignored what I said. And then he said, "F you, F you."
Why are we in Iran war? Why are we there? They didn't bomb us. We didn't.
Okay.
They didn't do shit to us.
Okay. I'm glad you called. Slow down a second.
Hold on.
You asked a question.
We started something there.
No, we
They
didn't.
didn't bomb us. There was no reason for us to go there.
You're wrong. They've done all those things. How old are you?
Okay.
How old are? Excuse me. How old are you?
I'm 43 years old.
Really?
I'm
What year? 43?
Listen.
What year were you born?
Listen,
What year? No, you
Trumper.
listen to me. What year were you
Listen,
born?
Trumper,
What year were you
Tell me
born?
What country? Tell me. What time in history did Iran ever bomb a country?
I'm going to tell you if you'll stop
me.
talking.
Hold on.
I can't tell you if you don't stop talking.
Tell me.
You got to
Go
stop
ahead.
talking.
You're cool.
You got to stop
Go
talking
ahead.
so I can answer. First off, I got a question for you. What year were you born?
No. Answer
Yeah,
my
okay.
question first. I like to know.
So you're not 43 years old. You're probably 23. That's okay.
I'm 43. I'm born in 1983. You fucking idiot.
Here, another
first.
class act.
Answer my question first.
The
When has
Iran
Iran bombed a country that hasn't bombed them first?
Iran has been.
Exactly.
If you would, do you want to hear the answer? Yes or no? Because I'm trying to
go
give.
ahead.
Well, you've got to stop talking and listen. You're
Okay,
waiting
go
to
ahead.
talk.
Answer the damn question. Quit fucking doing your little fill-in space. Answer the question. When have they bombed a country that hasn't bombed them first?
Iran has been attacking the United States for 47
Because we
years.
attacked them first.
No, we did
when
not.
Have they attacked them?
No, that's not true. We did not attack them.
It is true.
No.
It's in history. You can Google it.
What
It's
is
an easy,
Google?
simple
I've lived
search,
through
bro.
it. I've lived
No,
through it. I don't have to
because you're
Google.
Trump,
And if
bud.
you really were 43 years old, you would have lived through a lot of it too.
Okay, I have. And also another thing is, your Trump guy is trying to get a taxpayer pay his little fucking $10 billion bill against that girl that he got found liable of sexual abuse. Then he wants us to pay the $80 million that he was found guilty of defamation.
Uh-huh.
So how do you want the American taxpayers pay that?
I'm not. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about. But back to.
You don't know what I'm talking about? That he tried to get
Excuse
us to
me.
pay his fucking money.
Excuse me.
Pay his
I'm talking
money that he
about.
got.
I'm talking about Iran. Do you not have conversations with people? Because you don't know how to.
Iran has never.
No. Excuse me. They have been. Iran has been killing us. Iran has been killing America.
No, they have not, buddy.
All right, I can't. I try, guys. I try. All opinions are welcome, but you have to take turns, right? You have to take turns. Any of you guys believe that guy's 43? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. What's
My
your
name
name?
is Brewster Hernandez.
Okay, hold on. All right, yeah, go ahead, Richard. Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, man? My name is Brewster Hernandez. I'm calling from Texas.
All right, Richard in Texas.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you called me. What's on your mind, Richard from Texas?
Hey, man. All I'm gonna say is,
yeah,
we're doing a good job. Bombing them. They fight back. They hurt Americans. Fuck them up.
Okay, all right. Take care. Appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, there you go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
You know, here's the thing. Here's how good President Trump is, okay? This whole thing with Iran, I think this has been in the works since the first term when he sent in the missiles to Syria to hit Assad. Remember? Because Assad was a big time ally of the Iranian regime, I think.
Who's
if
that?
I'm not mistaken.
Who'd you say?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
I missed the name you said. Assad from Syria?
Assad in Syria.
Mm.
Okay, so and then the next thing that happened is he comes up with the Abraham Accords. All right? Then he comes back and he hits Soleimani.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then people will argue, well, October 7th still happened. Well, that was probably an operation that was already in the works before they hit Soleimani, and so that just kept going on. So that happened. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, he was probably going to go into Iran anyway, but then the election got stolen from him, so he had to put that on hold for 4 years until he gets back in. So this is a process that's been going on since the first term.
That's true. All right, Mike. I appreciate the call. You know, see, it's really sad. I hear these callers that call in with the profanities and accents that don't sound like California accents and accents that don't sound like Texan accents. You know, they sound like foreign accents. And they just, they're not, see, this is the problem, okay? And you've heard some of these more recent callers. You're dealing with immigrants or the children of immigrants who don't have an American perspective on things, right? And they just don't understand. And as an example, the one guy that wouldn't stop talking that said that Iran's never done S to us, they've never bombed us. Iran has been killing Americans for 47 years. Okay? They have been bombing. But they use terrorism to bomb with. You know, the 9/11 hijackers trained in Iran. Okay? You know, most of the Islamic terrorism around the world for the last 40 plus years has been from Iran. They bomb, they just don't have stealth bombers. They put bombs on people, or they plant them in places, see? It's just a different type of bombing. And they have been backing most of the Islamic terrorism around the world for almost half a century. The IEDs in Iraq that are responsible for death and maiming so many U.S. service personnel, that was the Iranian army. General Soleimani came up with the IEDs and supplied the Iraqi insurgency with many weapons and financing, as well as the IED devices. So I'm sorry that you don't know about it, but you're just not informed. All right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I do apologize for the profanity.
All right, there you go. See, there we go. You notice with the liberal, if you're on hold, hang in there. A lot of what's going on with the liberals that you hear call me is that they have never heard these things that I'm sharing before, right? All these things I'm talking about are new to them, and it goes against the grain of everything that they've been brainwashed with. But, if you watch the Wounded Warriors and Tunnel to Tower commercials, you'll see what Iran has been doing. You see these guys, they give them a mortgage-free home, right? They give them a mortgage-free home, and they're in wheelchairs, okay? And they have the lower counters and everything else and they're in wheelchairs oftentimes because they don't have a leg or they don't have any legs. Well, those guys are there in those wheelchairs because of bombs, IEDs, that were manufactured and given to the enemy by Iran. And these are just things that you guys don't want to deal with, but it is a very sad reality, I'm here to tell you. All right, let's take some more of these calls. Hold on a second here. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Sean. I'm in California right now, and I'm an immigrant.
Okay.
From the Philippines.
Okay.
I'm 48.
Okay.
And I have seen history. And for these people who talk about, the U.S. the U.S. started the war in Iran, you got to be so stupid.
Yes.
You can actually just Google this and you will see the answer. 1953, the U.S. and the United Kingdom backed a coup that overthrew Iran's elected prime minister. They just backed the coup. They didn't start a war. 1979, the Iranian Revolution overthrew the Shah. Nothing to do with the U.S. 1980, 1988, Iran-Iraq war. They were the ones who were at war, not the U.S. What the hell are they talking about that we started the war? We never started the war.
They started the Iranian. The Iranians started they started the war when they attacked the U.S. Embassy in 1979, and they haven't stopped killing Americans ever since.
Yeah, and they're blatantly saying death to America for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been funding terrorist organizations for 40 years. Can you imagine these morons thinking that, it's the U.S.'s fault? I mean, you got to be so stupid not to know this. This is general knowledge.
Yeah. No, it
anyway,
is.
That's all I'm going to say. It's just funny listening to these libtard idiots.
It's not funny. No, it's not funny. It's frightening. Because the country, the media and the education system, we have a population of brainwashed idiots out there who don't have an American perspective, and they don't understand the way of the world or the history or the context of any of these things. And
technically, let me just cut you off right there. And technically, you're right. It's scary for me because as an immigrant, they're becoming this communist, socialist, bullshit nonsense. And then it's going to be dangerous for my future when I become a U.S. citizen and these guys are running the government. We're all screwed.
Yeah, we could be.
You never lived in a communist country. You never lived in anywhere in the Middle East. And I've traveled like 30 countries.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, you have to be thankful for where you are right now because you're not going to live this kind of life.
I'll tell you. When I've traveled more than people might think. I've been to a lot of countries. Okay, most every country in the world is third world. Really, it is by our standards, by American
I came from the
standards.
third world, so I'm
Yeah.
letting you know that.
Yeah. And this is the
And
greatest
these
country. And
people
so
should be thankful.
so what happens is we have a lot of people who come from these third world countries that want to turn this into the third world, like the Somali pirates of Minneapolis. They want America run like Somalia. Somalia is an anarchy. There's no
Honestly, they
civilization
just came
there.
here because they want free shit. That's all it is.
That's correct.
They came here
Yes.
so they can scam their way up.
Yes. No, you're correct. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I'm here fucking paying taxes for these people who are trying to ruin this country and bring it down.
But you're from the
ground.
Philippines, and I don't know why this is, but most of the time, in fact, I can't think of a single time I've met an immigrant from the Philippines who didn't talk like you. The people that come to America from the Philippines, they get it, but the ones that come that have the Hispanic accents, they don't get it.
No, I mean, there are idiots all over the world. And the problem, I think, with especially the newer generation, they're so easy to, manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why it's hard to manipulate me, because I was actually a leftist. Because, when you're young, you think about stuff like a utopian world and all that shit. And then the moment you grow up and you have children and you have responsibilities, you're going to change your mind.
Yes. Yeah.
You're going to change your whole view because you do realize that there is reality.
That's right. No, you're absolutely
you have
correct.
you have to face. And these people have no freaking idea because, I don't know, maybe they live in their mom's basement or whatever.
Yes.
Or they never really went out of the country, so they have no idea what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
You're living such a good life here. You're so spoiled. And you have so much freedom that you can actually say whatever you want without any repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem.
Exactly.
We are raising idiots. We are raising morons.
Yeah.
And it's destructive because when their population grows and there's this kind of mentality, it's going to destroy this country, which is the last remaining beacon of light all over the world.
That's
England or anywhere in Europe, they're tanking. Their economy is turning down to shit. Britain has no military power anymore because they're all focused on socialism and stuff.
Yep.
You can only survive for so much. And then realize that you're all gonna, you can't pay for it anymore.
Very true.
This is the idiocy that I worry about because it's spreading right now like a virus.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. All right. Well, welcome to the program, and call me again sometime.
Sure. Sorry for
take
taking your
care.
time.
No. Good. I agree with what you've said. If you're on hold, stand by. Those of you that are new to the program, welcome, and please subscribe. And the calls you hear me take, these are all live calls from people watching live right now on YouTube. And if you're watching live, all opinions are welcome. If you're watching live, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's me again.
No, it's one call per show. One call per show. You can call me again tomorrow. All right? All right, now, if you're on hold, hang in there. So let me recap what we're talking about. We're talking about the current situation in Iran. All right? And by the way, one of the rules I have, because it's really the only rule, is you can only call once per show. But I'm live every morning, 7 days a week, taking live calls. So, you can call once a day on the program, but only one call per show. All right? Not a big rule, but, that's the rule. We're talking about the situation in Iran, and really what President Trump, I want to get back on focus here of what I'm doing, of what the discussion is. We've been at war with Iran for almost 50 years. President Trump is the first president of the United States to stand up and do something about it. No other country in the world has done anything about it. And if you notice, The entire Middle Eastern world, the entire Middle East, the entire Arab world is behind us with President Trump against Iran. Think about that. And these countries that are allied with us are countries that in the past were enemies. Look at Syria, Iraq, right? These are countries that were our hardcore enemies, and now they're allied with us, and they want Iran taken out. And what President Trump has done with this coalition of nations is nothing short of miraculous. But it's the world we're in now, and it's an amazing accomplishment. If this were any other president, they would be giving him peace prizes, right? And the UN would be issuing all kinds of awards and everything else. But because it's Trump and they have Trump derangement syndrome, they can't get themselves to see this, do this, or even realize it. The other thing, it is really a miracle what he's done in the Middle East. The entire Middle East is our ally right now, except one place, Iran. I mean, just think about it. Just a couple days ago, President Trump met with the Prime Minister of Iraq at the White House. The week before, he met with the Prime Minister of Turkey. You know, on the western border of Iran, you have Iraq. That's who he met with. He met with their leader a couple days ago at the White House. Last week in Turkey, he met with the Turkish leader. Turkey is on their eastern border. So he is allied with the nations that border Iran, and they want Iran out of the mix too. You know, and the only thing where the Pentagon, the War Department, has fallen short is what I was talking with Richie about earlier, and it's the PR. President Trump has a lot of great skill sets, but his maybe his greatest skill is publicity, PR, media. And what we really need right now is a major, very strong and powerful PR machine out of the Pentagon, the War Department, explaining to the people and showing us what we're doing. Okay, now we talk about it, but it's important to see it. And the example I was giving at the beginning of the program was Norman Schwarzkopf during the Gulf War. And he came out every day and had a press conference, and he showed videos from the targets the day before and explained what we were doing and then showed it. And he was talking about what the enemy positions were and what their forces were and now what they are. And we don't have that. What they've done is release some music videos on X from time to time, and that's all great, but we need someone publicly on television and online, selling it. And I'm watching some of the videos on X this morning of the bombing in Iran, and most of them are taken from the cell phone cameras of Iranians. These explosions and fires that I'm seeing from the bombs are massive. And I was watching some of the bridges we've taken out and some of the other things. But we don't have any context, and we really don't know what's going on. The American people, we talk about Iran, and we know these campaigns are happening, but we haven't seen it in a context where we can understand specifically what we've accomplished. As an example, I saw this general this morning in Iran making all these threats. I'd like to know what his job and rank was 3-4 months ago when this began. Was this guy a captain or a major, and now he's the top general? Maybe he was a lieutenant colonel. I don't know. I want to see how far down the chain of command their top generals are today and how much we've really wiped out. We got that in the early days, all right? In the first couple of days, we got it. Yes, Stephen Miller would be great. You know, they got to come out. They got to have a big high-definition 4-5K screen and show us while they're telling us. But I'd like to see a pyramid explained to us, starting with the original Ayatollah Khomeini and going through everyone we took out. And then when they go over the current leadership, explain to us what their rank and position was before this campaign began, right? Is their top field marshal a guy that was a major or a captain 5 months ago? I don't know. These are the things I want to know. I want to know what exactly we've taken out. As an example, I'm seeing we're blowing up all their bridges. So I want not only do I want that seen and explained to us by Stephen Miller or some spokesperson from the Pentagon, the War Department, but I want to understand the impact that's having in Iran. These rockets that hit Jordan took out 2 of our guys. We have 1 missing. I want to know where those rockets came from. You understand what I mean? We're not the Pentagon, and this is all on Pete Hegseth. He comes from television. He can do this. Pete Hegseth needs to get this PR machine going a little bit so we have context of what we've done and what we're doing. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is John from Wisconsin.
What's up, John from Wisconsin?
I'm just blown away by the stupidity of these people. Like, that you talk to. It's crazy. After 10 years of what's gone on in the world and in our country, and they're still against President Trump, it just blows me away.
Well, let's be honest. That guy from California and Texas, their issue is immigration. Either they're dreamers, illegals, or their parents are, right? So their whole thing is they're upset that the border's shut down and they're upset at the deportations. But because they wouldn't stop talking and stop using, we never got to that. But I think it was obvious by the accents. You understand what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You're 100% right on that. It's disheartening, and with that kind of mentality, no wonder why they vote Democrats. The Democrats are holding on to them kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just had to. I watched you this morning, and you do great with those people. You're like a cat toying with a mouse. I mean, it's kind of funny to watch. I watch you on YouTube, so
well, I appreciate it.
To watch.
All right, well, take care, man.
So, you have a great day. That's all I got to say.
All right, well, you said a lot, and I agree with all of it. But that, a lot of times, people wonder, well, why do you ask people questions about their accents or where they're from or what they do for a living? And the reason that is, we all have our opinions based on our circumstances in life, right? Everyone is, to some extent, selfish. And being selfish means they're concerned with themselves and their families. And that's just human nature. So people come to positions on issues because of their personal life, their personal situation, or their family situation. That's why that's why I ask people questions about things like that. And I get it. And I get it, but be honest about what your issues are, right? If you are in the country illegally, or your parents are, or members of your family are, and you're calling me from Texas or California with a Mexican accent, tell me that. It's fine. I'm not gonna call Tom Holman on you. Okay, I'm not gonna let Mark Wayne Mullen know. Okay, they probably already know about you, but tell me. You've got family. You don't want them to be deported. They're here illegally. So you hate Trump. Okay, I can respect the honesty, right? And with Democrats, with liberals, or with these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, they hate Trump, so they hate anything that he does, no matter how good it is. Okay, and it is so important to understand that not only did we not start this war. See, President Trump is finishing a war. This is what they don't understand. They think, and they want to say, that President Trump started this war. No. And President Trump didn't say no more new wars. He said no more endless wars. This war with Iran is America's oldest war. It's 47 years old, going on 48 years. President Trump is finishing America's longest war. Think about that. And so the perspective that the never Trumpers have, and these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers that have been calling me this morning, is that, well, wait a minute, he started this war. No, he's finishing a war that Iran started when they took our embassy. And remember, they've been killing Americans ever since. Now, so far as these assassination attempts, okay, President Trump said they tried to kill him twice during the campaign. And if you remember, in the 2024 presidential campaign, there were multiple reports of Iranian hit squads over here. President Trump was flying on different aircraft, not Trump Force One, because they were afraid of Iranians with rocket launchers and such in the country. That was the Biden regime that hated Trump were saying and doing those things. Okay, so if you have another country attempting to assassinate any president, past, current, that's an act of war. If the Iranians did to any of the other living presidents what they tried to do to Trump when he was running, I would support a full-scale military action against them. If you try to assassinate a president of the United States, and Iran's done it multiple times, and that's an act of war, right? That's an act of war. But these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, oh, by the way, if you're on hold, stand by. And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free and it's pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. See, these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, they don't even they tell us Butler didn't happen. No, nothing happened. That was fake. Even though we watched it live, right? Think about it. That's what you're dealing with. I was shocked to learn a day or two ago something I've never heard before, and I don't think any of you did too. Scott Bessent, he's the Secretary of Treasury. He was born poor, had nothing, and now he's worth almost $1 billion. He is openly gay, and he's the first openly gay member of the cabinet. Scott Bessent, and he's very MAGA, and he works for Trump, and he's one of Trump's senior advisors on everything. And Scott Bessent revealed Thursday or Friday that a couple of days after he became Treasury Secretary, there was an assassination attempt on him, and the person's being sentenced in a few weeks. They've been found guilty, and they're being sentenced. How many of you heard about that assassination attempt against Scott Bessent? That was the first time I heard about it, and I follow the news pretty closely. And the media, they knew about it, and certainly they know now because Scott Bessent was at a press conference when he talked about it Thursday or Friday. I can't remember which day it was. And the media still aren't reporting on it. Could you imagine, if an openly gay cabinet official working for President Biden, President Obama, if there was an assassination attempt, you don't think the media would cover that? Of course they would. But you know why they don't cover it? Because it makes the Trump administration look sympathetic. People are trying to kill the cabinet now. And when have you heard of assassination attempts on cabinet officials? The only other time that I know of, now I could be wrong, but the only other assassination attempts I know of members of the presidential cabinet, it was done by Democrats during the Lincoln assassination, right? John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, and his Democrat co-conspirators, Lincoln wasn't the only target. It was Lincoln, the vice president, the Secretary of War, and the Secretary of State, right? And they failed on the other ones, right? But since the Lincoln assassination, I don't know of another assassination attempt on a cabinet official before Scott Bessent. Do you know of any? I may have forgotten, but I don't know of any. We've got a major problem with left-wing political violence in this country. There's no right-wing political violence in America. I know they say that a lot on the news, on television, but it doesn't exist. It's a lie. All of the violence is from the left. There have been more assassination attempts against President Trump. This is not an exaggeration. There have been more assassination attempts against President Trump than all of the other presidents combined. Think about that. There's been 2 assassination attempts that we know of on his children, Don Jr. and Ivanka. And now we have an assassination attempt on his cabinet with Scott Bassett. But at the UFC fight, they were attempting to assassinate the president and the entire cabinet. It was an illegal migrant from Mexico put together that conspiracy. So think about it, guys. Those of you that are opposing Trump's actions, you're on the same page as all these assassins I'm talking about. Now, you'll deny that these things happened, but they did happen. And of course, the Never-Trumpers assassinated Charlie Kirk too, behind all of that. And it's never ending. Now, if you'd like to support a good man and all of my content at the same time, go to mypillow.com and use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, for huge savings. You know, Mike Lindell is running for governor of Minnesota. He got the endorsement of President Trump. He is the front runner in Minnesota. He is expected to win. He's doing incredibly well. And when you use my promo code Kane at checkout, you're supporting, hopefully, the next governor of Minnesota, endorsed by the president, and everything I bring to you, the radio show, my podcast, my YouTube channel. So go to mypillow.com and use the promo code Kane, Kane. You can also order by phone, 888-465-2631. 888-465. Oh, no, that's the call-in number. 1-800-716-4879. I did that by habit. You can also order by phone at mypillow.com. 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. Melissa, thank you for that $20 super chat. I don't realize I just got a text message here. Hold on a second. Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Yes. I just got a text message from Jupiter Joe, and Jupiter Joe actually, he gave me the Jupiter Joe Stanley Cup that I've been drinking out of. So I've increased my water intake because I have this new Jupiter Joe Stanley Cup. All right, now, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to move on to a few other topics before I go back to the phones. We've got a big problem in this country. We've got these communists moving in, and they don't call themselves communists. They call themselves democratic socialists, but they're really communist. And I was on Newsmax last week, and one of the topics that we were talking about, they had me debating some Democrat who's a big supporter of these democratic socialist commies. And I said on Newsmax, I said this, because he was denying that they're communist. And I said, there's a very famous quote from President Reagan that he used many, many times. And this is what I said on Newsmax. I said, President Reagan often said, Americans will never accept communism, but if you call it socialism, they'll accept every last tenet of it. And that's very true. And what we have in this country now with younger people is the laziest generation of Americans we've ever seen. If you're my generation or older, I'm Gen X, right? I mean, before I was old enough to get a regular job, I was mowing the neighbors' lawns, for $5 or $6. I live here in Florida, and I grew up in Florida, and I had a job when I was in middle school of taking supplies on charter boats at the marina down by the beach and on Fort Lauderdale Beach, and I'd get paid for doing that. I've always worked, and I've always worked a lot, and now I've got a great career, and my work is now awesome because what I'm doing right now is work. But if you're watching live, here I am Sunday morning at 7:10 a.m. And, I've just, my generation has a strong work ethic. Gen Z, millennials and Gen Z have no work ethic. They don't want to leave their house. There's exceptions to this, don't get me wrong. But as a generation, they want to sit around and play video games all day, right? And they aspire to be, as opposed to working women and men, they want to be OnlyFans superstars and get a Twitch stream going and never leave their house. And they just don't have a work ethic. And when you're talking to a generation of very lazy people, communism sounds good, right? Oh, wow, they're going to pay my rent, going to send me money, going to send me food, and I never have to leave my house. And I can play Call of Duty every day of the week, day and night, and never have to worry about playing a game because they're going to send me everything. Here's Mamdani interviewed by the New York Times.
Israel's prime minister.
Hold on a second. Let me cue this up 1 second here. This guy is the Democrat socialist leader. Bernie Sanders thinks he's the leader, but Mamdani took the crown from him.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is perhaps planning to visit New York for the UN General Assembly. You pledged during your campaign and after you won to order his arrest to comply with the International Criminal Court warrant. What will happen if he comes in September?
Look, I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. He's a war criminal who has been charged by the International Criminal Court. And what you will find is that is an opinion that is held by many.
Yeah, many in the Muslim world. Okay, so the reason I share this is regardless of your opinion on Israel, because this isn't so much about Israel, what Mamdani's talking about. You know, in a few short months, it's going to be the 25th anniversary since the Islamic terrorist attack of September 11th, 2001. Do you guys, you know, if you're a millennial or Gen Z, you don't even, you weren't alive or don't remember it. That era was a time that I can't even explain. You know, I was on the air when that happened, and it's scary stuff, you know, and the whole idea that there's a Muslim mayor in New York City who gives an interview with the New York Times who is talking about arresting a guy just because he's a Jew, pretty scary. You know, if when I went on the air the day after 9/11, September 12th, 2001, I want you to think about this now. And some of you probably been listening to me long enough to remember that day. If I would have gone on the air and on September 12th, 2001, and said to you, in the future, in 2026, on the 25th anniversary of the day that these buildings were knocked down, right? On September 11th, 2026, September 12th, 2026, 25 years from now, the mayor of New York City will be a Muslim, a practicing Muslim, married to a practicing Muslim from a Muslim country. You would have told me I was crazy. That would never happen. Never forget 9/11. And then boom, here we have it. So, and here he is, Mamdani.
And I would say that I'm still very much focused in this year, but I do believe that we all have to take a step back and appreciate what it is that she means to so many across this country. And
he's talking about AOC.
the reason for it is the work that she has done.
I think she'd make a good president.
I think she would make a good anything. I think she's a great congresswoman. I think no matter what she decides to do, she's going to bring those same qualities to whatever that work is.
Yeah, remember? You know, do you remember what the first thing AOC did when she was in Congress? Remember what she did? Amazon was going to put a big Amazon plant in New York, 6-figure jobs. And she started attacking it and attacking the idea. Jeff Bezos said, I don't need this headache. And it was hundreds of 6-figure jobs. He moved the plant somewhere else, Nashville or something. I can't remember who got it. You know, is that what you want in New York City? You know, they're out there talking about the affordability crisis, right? The affordability crisis. And I wanted to share with you, this guy is crazy. This is one of the spokespeople for the Democrat Socialist of America, and he was on with Martha McCallum the other day.
So they're up, like, breaking ground on one grocery store so far. It's going to cost $30 million to build a grocery store. In what world does it make sense to build a $30 million grocery store and put competitive pressure on the bodegas that are in the neighborhood?
I think that what we saw in the mayoral campaign is The mayor was able to build a movement that inspired people to believe that we could have a government that works for ordinary people, that is actually responsive to the working class.
Inspiration is great, but if you're the bodega owner, how would you feel if the government opened a big grocery store right next to your bodega?
If one publicly owned grocery store that brings prices down in the neighborhood is enough to put someone out of business, then maybe they shouldn't have been in that business in the first place.
Could you imagine? And here you got a guy who, if he didn't have a mustache on, I don't know. This may be a Victoria thing going on. Well, maybe they shouldn't be in business anyway. Here's a guy that's produced nothing, done nothing, worked for nothing, and frankly, you know, like a lot of millennials and Gen Z, they talk a lot. I don't understand what they're saying. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Dennis. I'm calling behind enemy lines in Hawaii.
Okay. What, the Japanese took it? What do you mean behind enemy lines?
Oh, it's just a deep, deep blue state here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just was wondering, Brian, are you Team Rubio or Team Vance?
You know, I like them both. My favorite, if I had to choose, it'd be Marco Rubio, but they're both fine.
Yeah, what do you think about them as a combined ticket?
It would be good because Marco Rubio's from Florida, so it would help with Florida, and JD's from Ohio. It would help from Ohio, and we need both of those states. You know, I don't like the idea, there's one thing that JD has going against him, and that's that he's a millennial, right? And I don't like the idea of the millennials skipping Gen X here over Marco Rubio, but what he has a quality Marco doesn't, okay? And very few politicians do, and it's necessary. JD Vance has he's incredibly charming. And if you watch him, he does a lot of these hostile interviews. As an example, 2 weeks ago, J.D. Vance was on with the Coven of the View with Joy Behar. If you don't get that, Google Coven, okay? If you don't know what a coven is, you'll get a laugh, okay? So he's over there on the Coven of the View, and they hate him. And he's so charming and good. After the show, Joy Behar was complimenting him and said that she liked him. And if you watch J.D. Vance in these press conferences and interviews, he's able to charm people that hate him into liking him. And not many politicians have that.
Very.
Yeah, it's an important.
Very articulate.
And he's charming and charismatic and can win people over. And that's an important quality when you're running for president. I love Marco Rubio, but he doesn't have that quality. He comes on a little rough. You know, and if you don't like me, screw you. You know what I mean? Which is fine. I don't mind. But J.D. Vance would do better in the election nationally than Marco, unless Cuba falls and Marco Rubio's hailed as the greatest hero ever. But J.D. Vance has that skill set, which is important to win the presidential election. You understand what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I actually feel like the left is actually taking J.D. Vance's articulate. He's very articulate, and I think they're like twisting that to make him seem like he's not very real. Like he just.
Well, you know, they're never going to like him because he's a Republican. But I've seen him first time I noticed this about J.D. Vance is when Caroline Leavitt left for maternity leave. She came back this week, but he ran a whole press conference. And when he came out, the press went nuts. They hate him. A few minutes in, he had all these never-Trumpers laughing at his jokes, eating out of the palm of his hand in the White House press corps. That charm. You know, I know people won't like this comparison, but President Clinton has that. You know, and a lot of times these successful politicians, you know, they have the ability to do that, and it's an important skill set. So whichever one of them, I'm going to support any of them. But I'm just telling you, that's a quality J.D. Vance has. You know, it's very important for us to win the next presidency and for the next president to be MAGA.
Well, yeah, and I think Rubio did really good when he filled in for at the press briefing.
Yeah, but it's not the same. When he was done, the press weren't laughing at his jokes and eating out of his hand. They were like, "What an a-hole."
Right.
You understand? After JD does these interviews, they're like, "Wow, he's a nice guy. I like him." You understand the difference?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's why I say I think maybe from the left's point of view, I feel like maybe Vance is so articulate that he comes across from their vantage point, he comes across as fake.
Yeah.
But it's not. But that's
yeah. Yeah, no, he's and his wife's very nice too. There was a thing with J.D. Vance's wife recently, Usha. They were giving her a hard time about her dress, like she had some fancy dress, and they were going after. And she bought the dress at Old Navy for $8, and they didn't know that, her maternity dress, and she humiliated them. Both of them are very good with people that don't like them and don't want to like them. Does that make sense to you? What I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing. Like, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious. Like, do you feel like with Vance's backstory of coming from poverty and they made a movie out of his life and all that, do you think that helps them or hurts them?
Well, they both have the same background. Marco Rubio's mother was a maid, a hotel maid, right? A cleaning lady. They both have a similar story. But JD, the movie, I read the book and saw the movie. Ron Howard directed the movie about JD Vance, Hillbilly Elegy, and Glenn Close played his grandmother. And his mother, I forgot the name of the actress that played his mother, but that's a great story. It's a great story.
Awesome story. I just was wondering if you felt like that enhances his resume or hurts him in some way.
Well, you see, what I'm talking about are the people that wouldn't normally support a Republican that we're trying to keep. You and I are going to vote for either of these guys. You know, I'm talking about those other people that, their vote's up for grabs, or maybe they'll go back to the Democrat Party. The media, that makes them hate him more. And if you notice, you don't see that movie running anywhere, even though Ron Howard directed it and Glenn Close plays his grandmother.
Oh, true.
You don't see that movie anywhere. It's like when what's Dr. Ben Carson. Before Dr. Ben Carson was famous as in the political world, he was famous for that operation separating the conjoined twins, right? They made a movie about him. And do you know who played Dr. Ben Carson in the movie?
No.
Cuba Gooding Jr., who won the Academy Award, right, for Jerry Maguire. And the movie was titled The Man with Golden Hands or something like that. And as soon as Dr. Ben Carson got involved in politics, that movie, you don't see it. It's been hidden. Just like Hillbilly Elegy. It might still, I saw it on Netflix when Trump first announced him as the running mate. That was like 2 years ago. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but you guys can check out Netflix and see if it's still there. Watch it while you can. Hillbilly Elegy. But these are stories they suppress because they make the Republican look good.
Well, it's like, they want to make Trump out to be a racist and stuff, but you never hear about when Trump and Ben Carson were running against each other for the nomination, about how Trump held back when he was called to the stage, and he held back to let Ben Carson come on. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Well, listen,
that was like the most.
Yeah, go ahead. That
was like the most kind, nice thing that somebody could do for another human being.
Well, that's what liberals do. Liberals, when they can't deal with someone who's a conservative, they just call you a racist or some kind of phobe. right? And they think that'll just because they can't deal. I had a caller today. You don't like people that look like me. Give me a break. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But that's what they do. It means nothing. Listen, I got to run, but I appreciate the call, man.
Thanks, Brian. Nice talking to you.
All right, take care. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you want to call in, the number's toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat. We'll take a quick break and be right back. On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are, and he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office, and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Brian.
All right, guys. Yeah, make sure you call Jupiter Joe Thomas and schedule your no-charge consultation. Again, the number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And you can also find his number on his website, jupiterjoe.com. Okay, a couple other stories I want to get into. This thing with Paul Pelosi. Paul Pelosi is facing 6 months in jail for a hit and run. If Paul Pelosi could arrange to go to he's an old man, right? If he could arrange to go to a nice jail, I think he'd like to do it. If he could spend 6 months, not in the county jail, but if he could spend 6 months like in some minimum security place, I think he would do it just to get away from Nancy. I really do. I've heard stories like I don't remember the name of the prison in New York, but Michael Cohen, President Trump's lawyer that went to prison, they sent him to this fancy pants minimum security prison in New York. And I remember some of the reporting. A lot of these guys, they like going to that prison because they're away from their wives and they have no worries. But, and I'm not kidding. Now he doesn't want to go, Paul Pelosi doesn't want to go to like the regular jail where regular people go. I mean, if he gets to go to that fancy minimum security farm where they send all the blue collar criminals and everything, I think he would rather be there. Okay, now Sunny Hostin this week, we were mentioning the Coven of the View. She is in a real, let me make this smaller so you can see her there. Okay. She's in a real embarrassing situation. Her son was almost got arrested the other day for trespassing. And he called mommy, and mommy came, and the footage from the police body cams have been released. So this is Sunny Hostin talking to the cops about her son.
Normally it's a misdemeanor charge. We're dumbing it down to a violation, okay? I know you're upset. We just do it as a deterrence because, again, like I explained to you on the phone, besides being illegal, which is far from the subject, it's dangerous.
My mom's a lawyer, by the way.
Okay, now here's the body camera footage. They cut to when it's before mommy, Sunny Hostin, arrived, and the cops stopped her son, right? And listen to the arrogance of her son talking to the police.
Do it as a deterrence because, again, like I explained to you on the phone, besides being illegal, which is far from the subject, it's dangerous.
My mom's a lawyer, by the way.
That's okay. What's your name?
What's your name, sir?
I'm Brian.
Brian, is that your badge number 2814?
Yes.
Did you hear what her son just did? My mom's a lawyer. He's smiling. Looks like he's cuffed. And he's like, is that your badge number? And he goes to the badge number. Look at how Sunny Hostin raised her child, right? Here he is he's being confrontational with the cop, really threatening the cop. My mom's a lawyer. Oh, is that your badge number? Yeah, the one on the badge on his chest. Who does that?
So the reason we're stopping you, this is trespassing right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was open over there. I was just walking on a run here.
Where are you coming from? All the way over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I saw. I just looked open for me, so I just walked in.
So this is considered trespassing. It's criminal trespass. Reason why it's such a big deal? People get hit by a train all the time. We want to prevent it, obviously.
Brother, can you please?
You want me to hold it for you?
Yeah, my mom. The phone's at 2%. FYI. Here you go.
Will you call my mom? You know, when I was young and my friends, we'd all be out doing stupid stuff, drinking beer and wine coolers and stuff at the beach. Every once in a while, the cops would come over. I never once asked them for their badge number. and I never asked them to call my mommy.
So this is considered trespassing. It's a big deal. We don't want people to get hit by a train, which is why we came running over, okay? Do you have any ID on you?
Yes.
Okay, where is it?
It's in my phone. If you take off the case.
Tell them your mother is a federal prosecutor.
That's Sunny Hostin. Tell him your mother's a federal prosecutor. Oh my goodness. This guy's a mama's boy and he doesn't even know it. He's just a spoiled rich kid.
Okay, where is it?
It's in my phone. If you take off the case.
Tell them your mother is a federal prosecutor.
Yes.
No, well, that's a lie. She is not a federal prosecutor. She's a former federal prosecutor. And what does that mean? If you are a federal prosecutor, your kids are allowed to go out and do crime? So what kind of legal advice is this, Mommy, Sunny Hostin? She just told her son to lie to law enforcement.
That's why we came running over, okay? Do you have any ID on you?
Yes.
Okay, where is it?
It's in my phone. If you take off the case.
Tell them your mother is a federal prosecutor.
Yes.
Hey, Mom, how are you? This is Officer Gomez. Your son's fine, right?
Officer Gomez,
how are you?
This is
Yes.
federal prosecutor.
Okay,
That's
fair enough.
my son.
Yep.
He's a Harvard graduate.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she's a federal prosecutor. Lie. He went to Harvard. Oh, well, I guess when you go to Harvard, you can trespass and commit crime. I did not. I should have gone to Harvard. I could go around and do crime because that's a free pass.
He's not a criminal. He has no criminal record, no criminal history.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, I understand that. The issue is, like I told your son, is this is considered criminal trespassing. So besides being illegal, it's actually very dangerous for him to be around the railroad tracks. You know, we get people that get hit all the time.
Let's get my mom on the phone.
Of course.
Let's get my mom. Let's get my mom on the phone. Oh my goodness. When I was, and he's a grown man, by the way, but when I was a young guy, if I was with the police and I called my mom would kick my butt. You know, I called the police on some kids in the neighborhood a few years ago. I live in a very low crime area, right? And this was during the week, during the summertime a few years ago. And I was in my living room and I saw some kids steal the bicycle from the kid that lived across the street from me. His bike was leaned up against his house and they were walking by. They grabbed the bike and rode off with it. And I knew the kid, so I called the police. And the police came like in 5 minutes to my house. I was in shock. And they got the kid from across the street and brought him over to my house. And I said, yeah, I told him what happened. And he got a call. He says, oh, we got the kids down the street with the bike. And they said, would you identify them? I'm like, what, like in a lineup? And he's like, no, just could you get in the cruiser? I'll drive you over there. And you can identify who stole the bike. And they said to the kid, you can identify the bike if it's your bike. I said, sure. So they drove me there. This is what a nice neighborhood I live in. They had 5 police cruisers with these 2 kids that stole a bicycle, right? The mom came up. The mom drove up. And the kid was black. The mom's black. She got out of the car. She was so pissed. I thought she was going to yell at the cops. She grabbed the kid and gave him a slap in the face and told the cops, I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to take care of him. Oh, my goodness. She wasn't like Sonny Hostin here.
Hey, so you said that. Can I grab my phone?
Absolutely, go ahead.
And if the phone dies, can we call her?
Absolutely.
So yeah, just tell her.
Miss Hostin, it's Officer Gomez.
Hi, Officer Gomez. I'm about 4 minutes away.
Okay, that's fine. So I just wanted to give you the heads up. So I am going to be writing your son what's called an appearance ticket. I'm sure you know what that is. I'll explain everything, where he has to report all that stuff, because it is criminal trespass where he was. It's normally in a... Hold on for 1 second, miss.
Okay. Size. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between, by the way. And he's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he will do it. Have you ever heard another roofing company said, we'll never sell you a roof you don't need? No. Their job is selling roofs. I've been through this myself. You know, years ago, we had a hurricane, and I just lost some shingles on my roof. I couldn't find any, this before I knew Tom Laporta. I couldn't find anyone to repair it. They told me, no, we only sell new roofs. I said, yeah, but I'm just missing some shingles. Nope, can't help you. If you need just a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. Give him a call. You can call or text him directly at 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. All right, let's get back to Sonny Hostin at The View. So if you're just joining, the police have stopped her son. He said, hey, can you call my mom? Mom called. She gave her son the advice of lying to the police. She said, tell him your mother's a federal prosecutor, which she is not. She's a former federal prosecutor.
It's normally a misdemeanor. Obviously, we're cutting it down to the violation because, he's there's nothing on his record. He's been very cooperative with us. But as of right now, we will have to issue him the appearance ticket.
Officer, is that really necessary? This is a kid that doesn't do anything. He's a Harvard graduate and a Yale researcher.
He's a Yale researcher. What does he research? Critical race theory? You know, I understand her not wanting her son to get arrested, okay? A trespass ticket is not an arrest. If you get arrested and booked, you have to put that on an application, right? But, you know.
Teaches geometry to and box.
I understand that.
Why would you put something on his record like this?
No, it's not anything criminal. He just has to appear. I'm dumbing it down to a violation.
Think about this, Miss Federal Prosecutor, mistress of the law here. It's just a ticket where he just has to appear. It's not an arrest or anything. It's just a ticket.
That's all it is. So it's not a misdemeanor. It's just going back down. I'm writing him literally for the 140.05. It's a trespass violation.
And she doesn't even know what that is.
He would have to appear, which is an inconvenience. I understand that. But with all due respect, ma'am, I still have a job to do. And we have to deter people from being on the tracks. Because again, besides...
I understand, but what I'm asking of you is once a judge gets this, all he would have to do is pay a fine anyway. There is a path.
What happens if you didn't do it?
Okay, now her arrogant son, they have the cuffs off, and now he's going to try to do the powers of persuasion before Sonny Hostin arrives at the scene.
What happens if you didn't do it?
What do you mean?
What happens if you're like, I would like to write this?
Well, we have cameras everywhere. If we didn't see you, somebody would have called it over.
Correct.
And
there was too many trains coming in and out of there to not.
I hate to say
see
it,
you.
it's like my partner said, our hands are tied. It is what it is. Listen, I really appreciate you being cool about this. Put you in handcuffs, and we do that for our safety and all that stuff. Hi, miss, how are you?
Oh, here comes Sonny Hostin from The View.
I'm Officer Gomez. Ooh. No problem. I apologize for this, but it's. So, like I explained to you, normally it's a misdemeanor charge. We're dumbing it down to a violation, okay? I know you're upset. We just do it as a deterrence because, again, like I explained to you on the phone, besides being illegal, which is far from the subject, it's dangerous. I mean, so that's pretty much it.
Can you give him a warning?
I cannot.
She's like going to cry.
And like I said, it's usually a misdemeanor.
Now keep in mind, He is. This is a ticket. It's not even a misdemeanor, right? So he's not being charged. He's not being arrested. He's getting a ticket, right? It's like a speeding ticket.
Dumbing it down to a violation, so he's literally getting hit with the 140.05. It's not going to go on his record. Not going to affect him. Nothing. It's not going to. He asked a bunch of questions like if it's going to hit his license. Absolutely not. Yeah. No, it's not. It's not going to affect him anymore. Yeah.
He's a Harvard grad.
I understand. I really do.
How are you?
Oh, here she is trying to use the power of celebrity again.
How are you? This is my son.
Oh my gosh, she's introducing her son like this is a personal appearance.
He was walking along the tracks.
Just on a run, on a walk, and the gate was open. I was like, sounds like an honest
mistake. He's on the phone with me. Actually. I'm a former federal prosecutor.
Oh, who gives a you know what? What does that mean? Lawyers are a dime a dozen.
He's a Harvard grad who teaches fourth grade geometry.
How many times has she said that?
He's not a kid who's ever in trouble. It's an innocent mistake. I understand you have to think about it.
He said with anyone else, he would have given them the misdemeanor citation. This is not even a misdemeanor.
But yeah, whatever. It's not the end of the world.
It's a ticket.
Okay. So this is into your copy. Okay. So basically, just have to show up on a Friday, July 10th at 9:30 a.m. It's going to be to the New Rochelle Criminal Court. It's going to be at 475 North Ave here in New Rochelle. Not the end of the world. Not the crime of the century. Okay. It's unfortunate. I get it. I know you're upset. I know your mom's upset. I'm not trying to be a ball buster here.
Now, let me ask you guys. If you were him, would you be embarrassed? I would be so freaking embarrassed about this. I mean, I would feel like I was some kind of wimp, you know? And what was he doing walking along the train? You know, when I was a little kid, we might go to the train tracks to put like coins on them and then the trains run them over. You ever do that? I did that with my daughter, actually. I didn't go into an area that was fenced off and trespassed, but I'd go to the train tracks with my daughter and put like quarters on them and pennies, and then the trains come, and then you go get them after. You know, and when I've been stopped by the police for like traffic violation, I've never tried to talk my way out of a ticket. You just take the ticket, and you go to court, and you deal with it. You don't call your mommy. You call, you know, and the reason he called his mom isn't, it's not really that he's scared or anything. He thinks he's privileged. His mother is rich and famous. So he thinks because his mother is rich and famous that the laws should not and do not apply to him. I mean, that's really where he's coming from. And, well, she'll be on The View tomorrow. I would imagine they'll probably try to ignore it because I don't know. She may not even be embarrassed by it. She may think that she's the mother of the year. Who knows? She may go and attack the cops, for all I know, for daring giving her son a citation. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Craig, it's John calling you. I'm in the Dominican Republic on vacation watching this.
Oh, but, I was just in the Dominican Republic in March.
Oh, nice. I'm in Punta Cana. I go back today. But, hey, I wanted to comment on the video with Sunny Hostin and her son. Mm-hmm. What bothers me is that the officer apologizes. There's no need for him to apologize. Just give the guy the ticket, give him the misdemeanor, give him the court appearance, whatever it was, and move on. And for Sunny Hostin to show up and protect her son, call him a kid. He's a grown man. It's embarrassing.
Is he really a grown man, or is he a baby? I mean, what an embarrassment.
Mentally, he's a child, but he's a grown man.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine getting stopped and calling your mom?
No, I cannot. And like what you had said earlier, if I had called my mom for something that I had done that was illegal, she would have kicked my butt.
Yeah. My mom, yeah, I would have been in big trouble. If my mother showed up, I told this to a colleague the other day. I got my first speeding ticket the week I got my driver's license when I was in high school, and my grandmother was in the car. And she told the cop, she said, "I told him to slow down, officer, and he wouldn't." I was done for. I was going. It was embarrassing. It's funny now, it wasn't funny then. But that my grandmother did something smart there, and I slowed down after that for a while.
The other thing with Sunny Hostin is that she's always preaching on her show, about privilege or whatever it is, whether it's white privilege or privilege in any circumstance. And here she is pulling this card out, saying that she's like you said, she lied initially. Said, "Tell them I'm a federal prosecutor."
Her first advice was to tell her son to lie to the cops. First thing she said, lie to the cops.
Exactly.
You're in Dominican Republic. Did you fly there, or are you on a cruise ship?
I'm not gonna lie. For me, it's a mini vacation, but I'm working down here. I flew some people down here, a pilot. So
you're a pilot.
We're on a layover, and we leave today.
I went down. I've been there twice on cruises. I was there in March on our MAGA cruise, and we went to a beautiful resort from the cruise ship. But between the resort and the cruise ship, you don't want to be walking the streets of the Dominican Republic.
There's certain areas in the DR where
it's scary.
Definitely, it could be a little bit dangerous.
It is a little bit. I remember somebody in our group they wanted to stop to go to go to the bathroom, and they said no, it's not safe to go to the bathroom here. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
Hey, Brian. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
All right. Good to hear from you. Yeah, Dominican Republic. But we went to a beautiful resort there. Oh man, did we go to a beautiful resort? It was like it was one of the most beautiful resorts I've ever been to, and it was like a resort in Hawaii. But you don't walk the streets. Some people they get it in their head. They want to leave the cruise ship and then just like walk around the town. You don't walk around the town in the Dominican Republic. No, I am curious though how Sunny Hostin handles that when the weekend's over, because she looks really bad. Her son looks worse than her. But a lot of times, parents don't see their kids as they are. My daughter. I remember when my daughter first got her car and driver's license. Her first car and her driver's license. It's always scary when your kids go out on their own. And one of my buddies in the neighborhood, our kids grew up together, went to school together, and they started driving at the same time. And he's like, I can only imagine what it was like for our parents. I said, well, when you and I were out driving around, when we got our first cars, we didn't have cell phones. So at least we can get a hold of them. But my biggest fear when my daughter got her car and was out on her own is that she was going to get pulled over by the cops. And my daughter is now 27. She's been driving since she was 16. She drove back to Florida. When she moved to Los Angeles, we shipped her car. She drove back from LA to Florida. She's out in Los Angeles now visiting. She's driving to Vegas later this week. She's never gotten a speeding ticket. She's never been pulled over for a traffic violation. Knock on wood. I don't want her to start now. But, she's never, and that's so awesome. It really is. All right, now I wanted to share just a couple more, this Democrat socialist, that's the one of the leaders of the Democrat Socialist of America in New York City. And make no mistake about it, they are communist. Martha McCallum, I played this on the program yesterday, but I want to play it again because it's really good. A couple things about the Democrat Socialist. Do not make the mistake to think that they're doing really, really well, because they are not. Okay? They are running in safe Democrat districts. They're not running in any toss-up things. There's no, I don't want to see them running. I mean, the idea that these communists are getting any type of mainstream, attention is scary and dangerous for the country. But Martha McCallum on Fox interviewed this guy who's one of their leaders in New York. So he's a top guy, and he's an idiot. And she really exposed him. Listen to this.
Your family came here from Peru. really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist communist guerrillas in Peru. So why did your family come to America?
The economic situation in South America and in Peru was in a really bad place. But I think that much of what we could say is responsible for that actually was the imposition of capitalism and American imperialism.
There's no American imperialism, even in Venezuela, okay? We rid them of a dictator, and look, capitalism is what caused the communism of Peru. I've been to Peru. It's like the Dominican Republic. I mean, it's really poor and bad there, but it's only poor and bad because of capitalism and American imperialism.
In many cases,
so listen to what McCallum says.
Immigrants to the U.S. coming out of Latin America, and
so they come here because they don't like the imposition of American imperialism in the country that they're in.
Yes, in many countries.
See what she said? She's just like, well, if they don't like American imperialism, why would they come to the imperialist country?
They come here.
In many countries, there have been undemocratic coups that have destabilized countries, and
see, you know what this is? It really shows you how childish these Democrat socialists are. He's the co-chair of the New York Democrat Socialist of America, right? That's Mamdani's chapter. So they're like the national leaders. It's a very childish, juvenile thought process. And I was talking to a caller at the beginning of the program today about this, and I had said, these Democrat socialists that think money is evil, you know why they don't like money? Because they don't have any. Okay.
Let's push people out.
Oh, well, you would think they would want to go somewhere that wasn't imposing that on them if that were the case. But it's interesting.
Yeah, she did a good job. And I got a couple more clips. Martha McCallum is really good. She really humiliated this Democrat socialist child.
The problem we're facing in our housing system is that we talk about tenants and we say they have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They have to be responsible financially. But when we look at the landlords, we don't use those same standards. Landlords in New York have been making a 12% return on their investment.
This is insane. The evil landlord. The landlord, if something breaks, you got to fix it. If the ceiling fan stops working, you got to get it fixed. If the AC breaks or the heat breaks, you got to pay to get it fixed. And you got to maintain the property. You've got to get you got to get a lawn man. If you have a lawn, you got to do all these things. And they act like that property owners are evil people. There's a lot of risk with renting. A lot of risk. And 12% profit. I don't know. 12% profit. Who knows what the profit really is? That's what he says. But they got to pay the taxes on the property. They got to pay the insurance on the property. They got to maintain the property. They got to fix things, even minor when they're broken. Like if something breaks in my house, I own it. I'm going to fix it. But if it's a rental property I have and the closet door is off the hinges, they're not even going to try to fix it. They're going to call me to put the door back on the hinges. And these communists, they don't get it.
On average.
How much should they make? What's fair for the landlord to make if you don't like 12?
They're complaining that 12 is not enough. And we don't think that anyone should have a constitutional right to double-digit returns on their investment.
Oh, my goodness. People should not have a right to a double-digit return?
That's why we've implemented.
No one should have a right to a double-digit return on their investment.
No one has a right. That's not. No.
What are you talking about?
No one's in that. That's not in the Constitution. But what we see is that when we implement a rent freeze, we have landlords who are crying that the government is going to put them out of business.
They're trying to run a business, and they're trying to do it effectively. No, are all landlords perfect? Are some landlords lousy? Of course they are. But I just think that the idea that no one should make a double-digit profit is the antithesis of the desire to, you can be anything you want to be in New York.
This is crazy talk to me. And like I said, communism, Democrat socialism, it's a childish mentality. If you want to understand communism, go and watch Dr. Zhivago. Dr. Zhivago is a movie about the Russian Revolution. And my favorite scene in Dr. Zhivago is, Dr. Zhivago and he's a doctor. They're wealthy, right? They got a big house. And they leave, and they come back after the Communist Revolution to their home. And there's the local bloc Communist Party leader is in their home with all these families. And they're like, what are all these people doing in our house? And it's like, well, you have too much housing. It's not fair for you to have all this space. So they just move all these people in. And they could tell themselves and tell the world that they're not communist, but they are. I got one more clip here of this child.
So you don't want to abolish the Senate, the United States Senate, because that's what Article 1 is.
Okay, now this is good. So 2 weeks ago, the Democrat Socialist of America came out with their party platform. And among that was abolishing the office of President of the United States and abolishing the Senate. So Martha McCallum's asking this brain surgeon about that.
So you don't want to abolish the Senate, the United States Senate, because that's what Article 1 is.
The United States Senate is an undemocratic institution. It gives more representation to people in smaller states than to the 30 million people in California.
So you've got the House of Representatives, which is population-driven, and then you've got the Senate. So every state, if you're a small state, you still get 2 senators, even though you only get maybe 1 congressman, in order to make all of the states have fair representation. So you say, I'm just confused.
When you ask normal Americans...
Normal. Yeah. This guy's normal with his ponytail and everything?
If Congress and the Senate...
They got that transgendered person that says they just want to be able to go to the bathroom, that's running for the Senate in Maine. They're the normals. They're the normals.
And our political system is working for them. Most people are very unhappy with the political system, and they say it's not working for them.
Okay, so they want to abolish the presidency and the Senate. Is that not an overthrow of the United States government? Are they not insurrectionist? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. IB.
Hey, IB. What's up?
Hi. I saw that yesterday. I mean, you say these metrosexual guys are like, I'm saying pansexual.
Yeah.
The kind of guy, and the reason why T-Tech needs to give our soldiers these hormones, because guys like this, straight out of college, no experience, gonna tell. When I saw him yesterday, I'm like, come on, why would you guys even have this person on TV? He has no experience. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Is that not the definition of socialism? A guy works for a building. He goes through the process and the loan. He gets the building. Now you want to dictate how much profit he should make?
Yes.
Where were you in the process of him going from the beginning to hiring a tenant? What did you always say? Wasn't someone willing to pay for the rent? Well, whatever you can charge is what you get. And if the market doesn't want it, then you lower the price.
Well, what determines? See, this is what they don't understand. What determines? I'll use rent. Okay. What determines rent are 2 factors, right? Supply and demand, and of course the illegals drove rent prices up. But rent is determined based on what the price of most everything is, and that is what the market is willing to bear, right? I could take my these are my wireless microphones that I have here. I could put these on eBay for $5,000, right? And they're worth $5,000 if people are willing to pay $5,000 for them, right? So like most things, that's what determines the price of things, the market, not the government. But the big problem they have is back in the old days when the communists were around and the communist revolution was going on and Korea and Vietnam and even in Latin America, communism hadn't really failed yet, right? So now everywhere where there's been communism, it's failed. Cuba, Soviet Union, North Korea. So, people are onto it now. It's hard. Yeah, Vietnam's doing okay because they've gone capitalist. They're communist in name only. They become a capitalist system in Vietnam. And if you look at where communism has been, it's failed everywhere. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, when they were pushing communism, the Soviet Union and Cuba hadn't collapsed. Cuba was being propped up by the Soviets, right? And without the Soviet, and when the Soviet Union fell, the money train stopped.
Nikita Khrushchev. Yeah.
No, Gorbachev. Khrushchev was during Kennedy.
My bad. Yes, because he's the one who brought the missiles over. Try to bring the missiles over here. But just to finish up on that guy, I want to talk about Mamdani. When he mentioned the Constitution does not allow someone to have 10%, it just goes to show you he has no idea or what clue what he's talking about. He even put the Constitution in the paragraph. Mamdani last night really, really infuriated me talking about putting Netanyahu in The Hague, okay? Because what he's doing, it is not in his purview to be in international politics. He's playing president.
Well, okay.
And
well, let me tell you. Okay, let me tell you why
I
let me tell you why I played this. Okay, because I really didn't explain everything about it. But Mamdani's talking about arresting Netanyahu when he visits New York and turning him over to the International Court. Now, number one, I believe just talking that way as mayor is a violation of the Logan Act, and he's committed a crime. But see, his audience
treason already.
Yeah. See, what these liberal idiots don't understand, what these Democrat morons don't understand, or as President Trump calls them, Democrats. Hold on one second, Ivy. My phones are ringing here. What they don't understand. Are you back with me, Ivy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. What they don't understand is his audience are not Democrats, liberals, Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, or Democrat socialists. Who do you think he was speaking to, Mamdani, when he said he wanted to arrest Netanyahu? Who do you think he was speaking to?
His Islamic Dominion world.
That's right, the Islamic world. And I promise you, that clip is on Al Jazeera and every newspaper and website in the Middle East in Arabic. He said that for the media in the Muslim world. That is, he is representing the Muslim world, not the people of New York City.
And this is what I'm saying. I was so infuriated. He's acting like as if he's a president dictating foreign policies about putting, like I said, putting Netanyahu in The Hague, going through international court.
The Hague.
International court.
Yes, The Hague is the world court.
The Hague. The international court does not govern anything in the Western Hemisphere, and I cannot wait to see how Trump is going to lay
All right.
on the
Hey, IB, good points. I appreciate the call. Okay, let's go. You're on the... hold on one second here. The phones are ringing off the hook. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Izzy from Virginia. How are you today?
All right. How are you?
I'm doing good. I may be on a bit of a delay in the programming, so I hope this
That's
is
okay.
on point.
That's okay. If you're behind, you can still comment on anything you've heard me talk about.
Okay. Well, I completely agree with you on the PR campaign. Something must.
Oh, you're talking about
done
Iran,
because
yeah.
I'm always looking for something that's 2 or 3 hours to listen to, which is why I love your shows. When I'm doing my chores, it just and I'm finding more and more people are supporting Donald Trump and patriotism, but now they're saying that Russia and China are the good guys. And I'm like, what are you talking
Since
about?
when is that?
And
when
I
are they
think
the
they're
good guys?
rehashing some of this old Lyndon LaRouche. That's what my
gosh.
dad said.
That's a blast from the past. I haven't heard Lyndon
disgusting.
LaRouche in a long time.
Right, but all this stuff is making a resurgence. So I think that to get Pete Hegseth, in the beginning, didn't he have Admiral Cooper come on and do a daily brief or something?
It needs to be. Yeah, he wasn't that good. When those of you that remember General Schwarzkopf, Norman Schwarzkopf was his name.
Yes.
And
Right.
when he came out, he was like General Patton or General MacArthur.
Right.
He had a lot of personality. He, when he walked into the room, even if you're not in the military, you'd stand up. You know what I mean? And he did these incredible videos. The Admiral you're talking about is come on. He looks like he works at the Geek Squad at Best Buy. I know who you're talking to. It's not the same. I'm sure he's a good guy, but it's not the same. You know what I mean?
I don't remember Schwarzkopf because that was before my time. But I'm sure my dad remembers them.
Yeah, it was
so.
the first Gulf War
I'll
in
ask him about it.
1991. If you go, when you're
I
done
would've
watching me, look up his briefings on YouTube. I'm sure they're there.
Sure.
And and what
But
happened?
I am.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am in full support of a very strong PR campaign, but
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be on Twitter because I don't even have Twitter.
No.
I just listen to YouTube.
Yeah.
So I think somebody needs to be on YouTube. And Marco Rubio used to have a press secretary, and she's gone. And I loved that.
Well,
woman. She got a different job.
What they need to do at the Pentagon, they need to have daily briefings with someone who's really good, like Pete Hegseth really should do them himself. And they would show the bombings from the cameras on the rockets, explain to us what they're doing, what they've hit, what their capabilities are now, what they were before, and because
so they can't come out and say that they hit a hospital or they hit a school
or that they're
hit
winning,
civilians.
or that they're winning.
We need to know exactly.
Yeah.
And with the internet, there's no reason why we couldn't have that. And I think it would be extremely helpful to get some of this nonsense just shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. And we used to actually, when Afghanistan, when the Afghan war started after 9/11, the ground invasion, who was the, I can't remember the name of the Secretary of Defense then. Oh, they hated him. But the Secretary of Defense he would come out every day with a press conference and show video and everything else from the battlefields in Afghanistan and explain everything that was going on day by day, and that was effective. Now we don't really know. We know there's a lot of bombing going on, but we don't know what we're hitting and how effective it is, and we don't know because we're not seeing it.
Right, or what the mission is that we want to keep them from mining the Strait of Hormuz or whatever it is. They can't have nuclear weapons or whatever.
Correct.
And I understand that they gave the Kurds weapons to give to Iranian people, and the Kurds didn't do it.
That's correct. They kept them. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. So you can't,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right.
my prayers go out to all the people, but I agree with you 100%. Please get somebody out on YouTube to give us a daily briefing.
Yeah. All right. You take care. All right. Appreciate the call.
You
all
too.
right. You too. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
Hey. Good show today.
Thank you.
Your left hook PR program type idea. I mean, listen, that's a positive idea. I think that'll, the social media side reaches a different audience, but I really think that's a good idea. I think that should be done. The more eyes we can put on, what's going on, the better, in my opinion. I don't know if it'll. To me, back then, I look at it's obviously the media landscape was so much different back then, but still, the more eyes we can put on it.
Well, the media were on our side then, right? In the Gulf War,
exactly.
The media weren't.
They wanted to do it.
Yeah.
They wanted to film it. Yeah, exactly. In the war right now, I heard you. When you were talking with Richie earlier, talking about they've got to be vaporized. Going back when we first started talking about this, Richie came in. He made his comments about the elephants with rice, and I'm just like, that's a good. These guys. The thing that I said, I don't know if it was a month, 2 months back. I just said that you can't make a deal with rabid animals. We've got to kind of work our way through them, and that's what we're doing. And the pause. Trump paused, and everybody, even Steve was getting, let's just wipe him out.
Yeah.
And but Trump, I was reading something the other day that I've read many times. I was reading about George Washington, and the comparison of, these great leaders like George Washington, Abraham, and Trump. Trump is going to be a figure in history that'll be larger than all of them, really, or certainly as large as George Washington. Was the caring, the humanity of George Washington, the honorable, the gentle, the kindness of the man. During the Battle of Germantown, you've probably heard this because you're a student of history, the General Howe's dog, the commander of British forces in Germantown outside Pennsylvania, he lost his dog. His dog went out during the battle and ended up on the American side. When George Washington found out about it, he sent the dog back with compliments, and that was very honorable and gentlemanly. And it's just so nobody would ever think of that. It's like Trump with the girl that entered his that was hiding out in one of his buildings, and then what should we do, President Trump? Well, put her in a room and make sure she eats every day and bring her flowers once a week. They don't know that side of Trump. So I think Trump, he doesn't want to kill people. I mean, and if he can avoid it, and to me it was sort of like an I-95 war. That's the thing in my mind. He's going down I-95. We're blowing them up, and like, okay, let's take an exit and let's find out have we reached the tipping point of normal people versus
well, what you're saying is about if you remember a few months back, President Trump was doing an interview on air, or a press conference on Air Force One, and he was talking about he was worried that he wasn't going to go to heaven, and what he was talking about is because he's killed people with the military. Yeah. You know, he's a peacenik, and he was against the invasion of Iraq. He was against the war in Vietnam. He's a peacenik. A lot of people don't know that about Trump.
He's a decent person. He cares about people. Now, at the same time, Brian, he doesn't mind. You know, you get him to a point, and all exits are closed now. Right now, it is, to me, what's going on now. I mean, quite frankly, this is what I always thought was going to happen. I never thought, because the fanaticism is so deep there. I mean, look at the fanaticism in our own damn country, and we're America, and we can't get rid of it.
Well, you know what's happened is
they're the ones in charge with the guns.
Like
they're the ones in charge with the guns.
I remember a friend of mine is a Vietnam veteran, and he was telling me about it. I'm not going to tell the story because it's a little graphic. I don't want to get into it, but he was I don't know how the conversation came up, but he was talking about the first time he killed someone in Vietnam. And it was it was a pretty bad situation, and I said, but doesn't that weigh on you? And he says no. He said they were going to kill me, and so he says you're a conscientious objector until they're coming at you with the grenade, right? So what and that's what Trump's dealing with Iran. There have been 3 that I know of assassination attempts by Iran against him. And a lot of this is because of that. He doesn't want him and his family to have the Iranians after them for the rest of their lives. That's a big part of this. And by the way, that's not a bad thing. If any country is trying to kill a president, former, current, or their children, and the assassination attempt against Ivanka a couple weeks ago was an Islamic terrorist connected to Iran. It was going to blow up her house in Miami. That's an act of war, and it's justified. But a lot of he's kind of like a conscientious objector type person, but now they're trying to kill him and his family, and he's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, he knows that in order to get what's going on in the Middle East, Brian. I mean, listen, to me, this has been sort of a long-term plan of his. That's the way I see it, because he doesn't do things the way that things that other people have done that haven't worked, because he's not an idiot. We got to do new things. So he goes in the Abraham Accords. He gets all these people. Now, prior to the Abraham Accords, this may sound counterintuitive, but the entire Middle East loved Iran. They loved them, absolutely loved Iran. So did Russia. I mean, you were talking about tolls the other day on the show through the Straits of Hormuz. This is what I talked about with the chaos trap, the old school, chaos trap of Hormuz. It's not the tolls that they charge the ships that come through, which, yes, we want to stop that. It is it's the $5 to $10 to $20 per barrel that is extra, that goes on top with regard to the markets. The markets get manipulated because they have a reason, not necessarily because it's true, but the markets push it. There's a reason, and the reason they point to is all the terrorism. Tankers could get hit, this and that. Whether they get hit or not, they use that fear, manipulate the markets, and every dollar that's added to a per barrel, every dollar that's added in the United States for our average is like 0.043 cents per gallon. So from 40 years ago, people in America don't realize this.
Yeah.
We've been paying a toll, us, right here.
Yeah.
We've been paying we've been paying a 20 cent to like a 80 cent toll to Iran, to the Middle East, to Russia, to destroy us.
Yeah, correct.
because of the fear factor. And Lloyd's of London and the Brits they're basically happy as hell about. They were happy as hell about that.
Yeah,
that's one of the problems Trump is having.
It's
with
almost
Britain.
it's almost like the oil company's marketing campaign is the fear of Iran. They like it because they can charge more for their product.
Yeah, without doing anything, they just get to add. It's like the fear factor. $5, $10, $20 more per barrel.
But at this point, though,
he's
got to obliterate all of them. They've just got to be vaporized over there. It's just not.
Well, I agree.
Yeah, it's got to be done.
To me, Brian, it's what was going to happen all along because they need to divide that country up. They need to section it off. In other words, the bridges, all of the infrastructure. You destroy that, and then what I believe is going to be elements within Iran, but also the Middle East. I believe there's going to be like a united Middle Eastern front against the idiots in Iran. I believe there's going to be. Now, I think that's what's going to happen because if you take care of the bridges, in other words, you attack one at a time like a domino. You get the first part of the country where they can't get in supplies to the forces. They can't send more reinforcements because the bridge is out. They can't fly because we've destroyed every one of their planes. Their communications are down. By the time Trump's done, I mean, that country's going to look like a golf course with these sand traps.
These rockets they got off to Jordan, and then that one in Kuwait. That was a bad hit in Kuwait. They took out that water plant that provides like 90% of the fresh water for Kuwait. I read yesterday. I don't know if that's accurate, but I read that. And everyone's saying they're getting supplied from somewhere, maybe, but I think these are just things that they've put together that hadn't been blown up yet.
Well, it's a big. I mean, the thing about Iran is for scale, Iran is a huge country. It's the size, basically. I mean, Alaska is like 665,000 square miles.
Yeah.
And Iran is like 620 something. Mm-hmm. It's a huge place. Yeah. They got all kinds of places to hide. And we've got all kinds of satellites, but we only have so many eyes. But I think, Trump's doing the right thing here. But it's going to be a progression. It's going to be a progression.
Well, but the question is he, without a land invasion, is he going to be able to stop them?
The land invasion is going to have. It's not going to be us. Trump is not going to do that because
it's going to be the Muslim world. It's going to be Turkey. It's going to be Iraq.
It's going to be them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's Turkey, one thing, but I think it's going to be. I mean, listen, who have they been firing at? It's going to be the people that Iran has been firing at. They've been firing at. They have Saudi Arabia,
and let me tell you, those
Kuwait,
armies,
Iraq.
Saudi Arabia, all these countries, Kuwait, they don't have rules like we have. They have swords and sharp knives, and they use them when they go in. It's not like us.
It's going to be vicious if it gets to it. I mean, the Kurds have already gone in certain areres.
But if you remember,
it's going to be like a United Nations. It's going to be like North Korea.
If you remember in the Gulf War, I know I've been making a lot of Gulf War references today, but in the Gulf War, we had a massive air campaign, hardcore, nonstop for 30 days before the land invasion happened. So by the time, if this is true that the Muslim countries are going to go in, by the time they go in, the Iranians aren't going to have much left to fight them with.
Yeah, it's going to exactly that. To me, that's always been the plan because Trump was never going to listen, we've got boats in the water, planes in the air, but we're not going to put boots on the ground. The boots are already there. They just need to be properly motivated. And when you've got a foreign fanatic country firing missiles all over tarnation,
and they're doing the
a lot of motivation,
and a lot of it is yeah, it is. All right, well, listen, I appreciate the call. I'm going to move on, but you take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, you suck any of that Trump call?
Okay, there we go. Class acts on the left today. Oh, I want to mention, let's see, before I go, I forgot to bring this up. Well, Lindsey Graham's sister, who was appointed by the governor of South Carolina to complete her term, has told the White House that she's interested in running for the seat. And I kind of knew that was going to happen, right? When these people get those seats, they don't want to give them up. And I'm very glad to hear this. Now, we don't know too much about her. I would imagine she's a lot like Lindsey Graham. So anything that we see from Lindsey Graham's sister in the future, I think is going to be a lot like her big brother. But I would, sight unseen, I would much rather her run and win than Nikki Haley or Trey Gowdy or any of these Republican establishment people, you know? So, and I was, when I saw her at the press conference, I was pretty impressed with her. She's got, you know, some of that charisma with J.D. Vance. She's the kind of person no one could say no to. So I hope she's with us. And I think it's interesting. She told the White House, right? So since she told the White House that she's thinking of running for that Senate seat for the next 6 years and have her brother's seat, that's kind of an indication that she's with Trump, that she's MAGA, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm hoping that happens, you know, because that would give us a good, strong, real Republican, not a rhino Republican in that seat. And and Trey Gowdy and Nikki Haley, they're never Trumpers, even Trey Gowdy, okay? And Nikki Haley, do you remember what one of the first things she did when she became governor of South Carolina? She took the Confederate flag off the State House. Now, that may sound like the right thing to do, but when Nikki Haley was running for governor the first time, they still flew the now, I'm not a supporter of the Confederate flag or the Confederacy, okay? You know, I'm from Ohio. I'm a Yankee, okay? Yeah. But even though I'm in Florida now. But she ran telling the voters that she wouldn't do that. And she did it as soon as she became governor. So she's a liar, right? She's a liar, and you can't trust anything Nikki Haley says. That's it. She took the flag off the State House, and they moved it to a flagpole across the street. And I'm not sure if it's still there today. And I'm not one that flies the Confederate flag, and I don't support flying the Confederate flag. But I didn't run around the state promising people I wouldn't remove it and then did it as soon as I got the job. So you can't trust Nikki Haley. And her husband can't trust her either. Remember all those stories that came out about what she was doing when he was deployed. If you're new to the program, make sure that you subscribe, okay? And everyone, please like the video. When you like the video, it gets the program recommended to people that have not yet found me. So please like the video. And those of you that are new, welcome. And I'm live 7 days a week. Every morning, you'll catch me live in the studio taking your calls live. And I'm here most afternoons during the week as well. And if I'm in the studio, I am always taking live calls. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you bright and early first thing tomorrow morning. Take care.